Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
All right, so we got episode 498. We got the full crew today. We got a lot to cover. Yesterday's stock market. Tyler, if we can show it real quick what happened. We got to talk about this. This is Wall Street Journal. Dow falls more than 600 points as crypto sell-off and midterm results loom. The reason for a lot of this market being down 630 yesterday's uncertainty. It doesn't look like a lot of people are happy with the results. They thought it was going to be a red wave. It wasn't. The day after, we found out how do people react to the market. By the way, in the morning yesterday, if you think about it, Wednesday, stock market was up. Dow was up 300. Ends up down 630. This FTX situation from 32 billion to 16 billion. Guy loses 94% of his wealth, and they may not even be able to finance the entire thing. They may go to zero. Crypto took a hit. Bitcoin's down 3,000 yesterday. Not a good day. We got a lot of things to cover. We got Ricky in the house. We got Tom Ellsworth in the house.
Hello, hello.
We got Vinny Oshana in the house, Mr. Syrian Vinny, and we got our friend here, Adam Sosnick. Do you have a middle name or no? Curious.
Yeah.
What is your middle name?
I'm not going to bring it out there to the people out there. Next thing you know, I'm going to be...
Isn't it like one of those Stacy, like Adam Stacy Sosnick?
It's Bet.
It's Bet.
Adam Bet Sosnick.
That's what happens when you spend too much time with Bet David.
Exactly.
You become a Bet.
Ben.
And then Dave Rubin is on his way. We got a lot of topics. Dave's going to be here any minute. Sounds good. If you're listening, Dave, we're starting. We'll see you shortly. Drive safe. A lot of layoffs, not just the one from Zuck, 11,000. Tom's got an update for us for a bunch of different things that's going on with Redfin, mortgage, real estate. Some news today about Amazon, which very interesting how much of a valuation Amazon lost. Did you see the number? They lost nearly $1 trillion of valuation.
Wow.
Amazon lost. 870, 880 of valuation they lost. $1.5 trillion of equity has been lost in America since May. Last 5 months, we'll cover that. Elon Musk, we talked about this 2 years. Year and a half ago, Twitter did a tweet. I don't know if you guys remember this or not. People can permanently at Twitter work from home. Elon Musk said, nope, no more days. You got to come home. You got to work. You got to come to the office. You got to work from office. And obviously, that's how it's always been. But Elon's bringing it back. Excited to talk about that topic there. Adidas is saying they're going to make Yeezys with or without Kanye. We're going to see if that's going to do well or not. Kanye is right now shopping to see if someone's going to do anything. You ready, folks? Do you know how much money was spent at midterms? Do you know the number? $16.7 billion was spent on this midterm, the biggest ever in the history of elections. And we got a bunch of other things to talk about. Before we do that, let's go to our sponsors. Our sponsor today is Private Internet Access, and the company's name is called Private Internet Access. And we've been talking about this for some time. You've been hearing me talk about private, cybersecurity for a long time. We talk a lot about Aura because what Aura does is check to see if your passwords are being used. And many of you have taken advantage of it. And I'm getting a lot of, updates, news on what's happened with yours. But this is completely separate. I'm at the airport. I'm at the airport, about to get on a flight. Guy next to me says, are you using this? Do you have VPN? What VPN? I said, nothing. He said, let me show you something. He gets onto my service on my computer. He says, you are fully free right now. If somebody wanted to find out what you're doing, they can get through it because you're not protected. You need to get yourself a VPN. This is the first time where a guy who wasn't selling me anything, he just said, you got to get a VPN. He was a valuetainer. So if we got to get a VPN, we got to team up with a VPN. And this is the VPN that's sponsoring the show right now. These types of attacks have increased 107% over last year. It's costing people billions of dollars every year. And Private Internet Access is one of the best products in the world and the best VPN for the U.S. with 50 servers in 50 states in the U.S. No other VPN has this amount of service in the U.S. So start protecting yourself and your data. They have over 30 million users and a 4.6 star on Trustpilot with 8,000 reviews, so you can feel confident that you're using the best in the marketplace. Having said that, you can go to piavpn.com/PBD. Once again, piavpn.com/PBD. PIA stands for Private Internet Access. piavpn.com/PBD. Right now, PIA is having a massive Black Friday sale for our customers. 83% off with 4 months for free. It's only $2.03 a month. Go take advantage of this. Protect yourself. Having said that, let's get into it. Okay. So, Tom, economy. Zuck lays off 11,000. Redfin, I'm going to go straight to what's going on with page 4. Redfin shuts home flipping business, lays off 13% of staff in slumping housing market. This is a Wall Street Journal story. They let off 13% of its staff on Wednesday and closed its home flipping unit, saying the operation was too expensive and too risky to continue. The Seattle-based company, which operates a real estate brokerage and home listing website, said the decisions were made because it is predicting that the real estate market is going to be smaller next year. They're not even talking about 2022, 2023. Smaller next year, and its home flipping business is losing money. It previously laid off 8% of its workforce in June of this year. The closure of Redfin's home flipping business, Redfin now follows Open Door Technologies, Inc., posting record losses last week. The biggest home flipping company sold too many homes for less than their purchase price. Tom, what is going on here? Give us an update on the market and layoffs.
Well, first of all, Redfin's just the beginning on the real estate side. You're going to see Zillow, you're going to see others that are in real estate. They're going to be making adjustments. And the ones that made it easy for you to watch an internet seminar and buy real estate, you too can be a flipper. All those folks watching those seminars on YouTube, and some of them are good, educational about real estate, but others, we know, they're scam artists. Well, those folks are the ones then going to Redfin and going to Zillow trying to start their home flipping business. And the real estate market is just not there. I think that's only part of the story because interest rates and layoffs are coming to that sector. It's beyond Zuckerberg. The rumor before the election was 1,000 people would be laid off. And many people, including me, thought
this is at Facebook.
Facebook Meta.
They said from 1,000 to, and then they did 11,000?
That's correct. The leak that was out before the election, they believe was inside an intentional news leak to kind of soften the blow. And then they laid off 11,000, although Facebook was up in after-hours trading just a scotch because what is the market like? Admissions of errors and then reduction of cost. And so there. The other thing that really surprised me is Stripe, because, Stripe is huge. They're bigger than American Express by value. And they're laying off 15% of their workforce. And I'm going to read you something. This was, I think, good leadership, and Valuetainment. We're out there talking leadership and helping people grow their companies and giving them examples of how to do it. Here's a way to be honest with your people. So this is the leadership at Stripe laying off 15%. In making these headcount changes, Team Stripe might reasonably wonder whether Stripe's leadership made some errors of judgment. Well, we'll go further than that. In our view, we made two very consequential mistakes, not just errors of judgment, and we want to highlight them here. We were too optimistic about the near-term growth in 2022-23, and we grew our operating costs too quickly. We have to correct these. And that's leadership coming forward and just saying, hey, I thought there was a party going on in the economy. I grew too quick, too much. But this is just the beginning. Stripe's layoffs, Redfin layoffs, Zillow's reportedly coming, and then Meta laying off more than they thought. This is just the beginning. This is the economic correction that we've been talking about, PBD.
Yeah, makes sense. By the way, we got the great Dave Rubin here. If we can open up the vault and let him in. But go ahead, you were saying.
Well, essentially what I think is happening is you talked about how it's been fake. Like everything that's happened over the last couple of years has been fake, printing money and how money flows to the top, right? If you look at all these major asset classes, whether it's the Dow, whether it's the S&P, the NASDAQ, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the list goes on and on and on. Basically what's happening is it's reverting to where it was back in 2020, March of 2020. Now, you can give us some case examples, like Apple is up huge, like way above where it is 2020. That has not reverted. But then you have companies like Facebook that have done the exact opposite. It's almost an inverted situation. But everything you talk about being fake, there he is, baby. Everything you talk about printing money being fake, this is all basically what's happening right now.
No, and it's great to see who was really having a lot of fake success and who's having real success.
Fake success.
And the man that just came in here, he's definitely having a lot of real success.
Speaking of fake success,
let's do it. Good to have you on.
What's up, baby?
It's fantastic to have Dave on here. But by the way, to stay on the story before we wrap it up, and I want to go straight to Dave's commentary and thoughts on what happened yesterday. So Greg Scher, whom I had dinner with last night, he was at the office here. we were talking about FTX.
Yeah.
So FTX goes from a $32 billion company to $16 billion company to Binance says, yeah, we'll give you $1 billion to help you bail yourself out. And then they changed their minds and they said, no, we're not giving you the $1 billion. And so this is a company that could potentially go from $32 billion to $16 billion to zero in no time. And the founder gave $39 million to Democratic super PACs. And one of the other executives that owns a lot of shares in the company gave $19 million to Republican super PACs. That's Ryan Salami that gave $19 million. Great last name. So this is what's taking place with this company. Venture funds invested around $2 billion into the company, most recently at a $32 billion valuation without a single board seat in return. Did you hear what I just said? Tom, $2 billion. $32 billion valuation with 0 board seats in return. And these are not lame people that don't know how to negotiate board seats. In fact, it's unclear if FTX even has a board of directors, audit committee, CFO, chief compliance officer. Instead, it just seems to have some sort of VC advisory committee. Here's who was involved. FTX backers include Sequoia, which once sued Binance for unrelated reasons. Paradigm, SoftBank, Tiger Global, Bond, BlackRock, Lightspeed, Insight Partners, Ribbit Capital, Race Capital, all of these guys invested in. And the point of this article is saying that at the very least, the FTX experience will put a major chill on venture investments in crypto, even in unaffected areas like decentralized finance. If FTX can go from $32 billion to zero, maybe in just 36 hours, who's to say the same can't happen elsewhere? Why would LPs take the chance? This is a very, very legit big hit to the crypto community.
Think about this. So $32 billion valuation. I give you $1 billion investment. Now you're worth $33 billion because you got my cash. I only own 1/33. You think of it that way. And so if I want to triple my money, that thing's got to be worth $100 billion someday. And so there was apparently feelings that there is more than just frothiness in the market. You know what I mean? This was a root beer shaken up, and then you open it in a crowded room. I mean, this is huge.
All over your face now.
All over everything. But think about that, Pat, because you make investments, Pat.
Bad visual for Tom, but go ahead. We're listening. Don't get distracted. Stay focused. This is Adam's distracting.
Yeah, I know. But think about that.
Yeah.
You make angel investments, and you make more than angel investments, serious investments. Would you invest in something where you've got 1/33 of it?
It doesn't excite.
And a tripling, just to triple your money or double your money, the thing's got to be worth $66 billion.
That's when you know. That's when you know when people are trying to be that greedy that late. Last year at Super Bowl, the whole Super Bowl was about crypto.
Yeah.
All you had to say is, who won the Super Bowl last year? Crypto. I don't know who won the Super Bowl. LA Rams. I can tell you crypto won. And, by the way, FTX, Tom Brady's a part of it. Giselle's a part of it. You know how many celebrities are a part of it? Left and right people were involved in this. But that's a whole different conversation on what's taking place. I know a lot of guys that are in the crypto community they put 95% of their savings in it. I'm talking 95% of their savings in it. And they're doing Uber right now late at night because
Pat, you weren't supposed to bring it up.
I didn't want to do it. But
sorry.
But listen, props to your 4.9 star on Uber.
Thank you.
You got to be proud of that.
I have candy in the car.
Listen, at least I'm going to give you the shout out.
I have candy and cologne in the car.
So, Dave Rubin, tell us, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling all right. First off, I got to apologize for being late because I was told there's a hurricane a-coming or a brewing or a something, and I was sleeping as the car arrived. You guys sent a car. You're a professional outfit here. And I was sleeping, and my phone's blowing up. Dave, you got to get in the car. But I thought the whole East Coast was going to be blown apart. So anyway, I'm a little late.
Can I give you some friendly advice? Because you've been in Florida less than a year, bro, right?
Less than a year.
We've been trying to play basketball. We've been trying to, your knee, your kid, everything.
The knee's back,
As someone born and raised in Miami, use this for the rest of the time you're in Florida. Unless it's a Hurricane Cat 3 or higher, you carry on, my friend.
Okay.
Keep calm and carry on. Tropical storm, tropical depression.
I don't know what's going on.
Take a pill and keep it moving.
It's a
You're
beautiful
good.
day out there.
Exactly.
So I'm happy here.
Well, we're glad to have you here, man.
Yeah,
we're really glad to have you
I'm
here.
realizing last time I came, You were in like a $5,000 sharp suit, as you often are.
And
I was in like a ratty ass shirt. So I thought, all right, I'll get in my usual operation today. By the way,
first of all, everybody's got a suit on except me today.
Rubin's here today.
Everybody's got a suit on.
T-shirt yesterday. You guys were all suited and booted. I tried to switch it up today. And,
I asked Ricky yesterday
it's
when we were
called
on the
Beyond
panel.
Predictable. I mixed it up
I
today.
said, "Where's your suit?" He goes, "I want to show my tats."
But he looks like the CEO with the 3-piece suit on.
Well, I had my jacket. I didn't wear my jacket this time.
So Dave.
Yes.
Tuesday. Everybody's watching. Everybody's seeing what's going to happen. You're seeing different names. You're seeing different, Senate races, House. How did you think the day went?
Well, first, let me just say, as we're all here in Florida, everyone here lives in Florida, I take it?
Yes.
no,
I mean,
California, California.
Oh.
I know.
And he loves it there.
Good luck with that.
But he lives in Bakersfield, which is a different kind of a county.
Bakersfield's
Yeah,
all right.
we're Republicans.
Bakersfield. I once saw an outdoor Frankie Valli concert.
Oh, okay,
in
there you go.
Bakersfield. They're
Yeah.
doing
That's
all right over there. Well, look, as a Floridian, as a new Floridian, as you said, I'm here. I got here on December 17th, 2021. I will never forget the day and the moment that I landed here. Florida is so set up. So everything here is right. This is what America is supposed to be. This is what competent governance is. This is what freedom's all about. We are set up so well here, and this will continue. And I tweeted out yesterday, Lee Zeldin, who just did something incredible in New York despite losing, move down here. Let's take all the competent people. I mean it. I really mean it. How about we just open this place up for all of the competent people? Let's get all of the competent workers, all of the competent thinkers and money managers and everybody. We've got land here. We have a housing problem here, but there's plenty of land down in Homestead and across the Panhandle. There's land. Let's start building, do some great infrastructure things. So I'm feeling great about Florida. The rest of the night, we still don't know what's up with Arizona, so it's a little kind of wishy-washy. But it certainly didn't go the way that I think would have been best for America, for a free America. Let's put it that way.
But by the way, Zeldin, the stat is first time, I think, in 2 decades, or was it 4 decades, that a governor race was that close. It's the closest race in 4 decades to lose by only 5 points. You got to give him respect. And
nobody knew him 2 months ago.
Nobody had a clue who this guy was. Some people thought he was like a, what do you call it? One of these heavy metal guys. Zeldin, like Led Zeppelin. Is he one of the Led Zeppelin guys?
Keep rocking.
Yeah. But so now the main question everyone's asking, and you've been asked this, yourself, and So look, the reason why this happened is because what America doesn't want is anybody that Trump endorsed is not looking good. It's because of his involvement, and the stories coming out. He blamed his wife. These articles that are writing saying he was losing his mind yesterday. He was livid. He was screaming. Obviously, that's an insider story. But even New York Post posted something today talking about maybe it's time to move because what America's showing is Florida. The guy won 62 out of 67 counties.
It's a lot.
62 out of 67 counties.
And the 5 that he lost, by the way, all had record numbers for Republicans. So Broward, I think, was up by 12 points for Republicans. So even the ones he lost, he won in a certain sense.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? Do you think it's a point where it's time to move on, or it's not going to happen? You have to know that he's going to be running, and there's got to be a strategy, and he is going to call him out, and it's not going to be pretty. And DeSantis should still run, and they got to go through it and let the Republicans decide who they want as their candidate.
Well,
what do you think?
I think just before we get into the Trump thing specifically, I think we just have to accept that probably 40% of the country just wants more nonsense. They want more government.
Yep.
They want more lockdowns. They want more control over their lives. They want higher taxes. They want bad governance and bad schools. They have been so brainwashed. The NPC meme, the non-playable character meme. They want it, and it just is. And we can do the best we can to bring better ideas to them and break some of them. But I think we just have to accept that. That's sort of separate than, did Trump really move this thing? I don't really think this thing was about Trump. The real Trump people did not do that well. The fact that Oz lost to Fetterman. Pennsylvania was whacked out, but Fetterman can't speak, right? Yeah. He literally, not only does he have all the worst ideas, like all of the worst socialist big government ideas, and release people out on this, the criminals back into the streets and all that, but the guy cannot speak. And then did you see last night on MSNBC? They actually had a panel on whether John Fetterman should be the nominee for president in 2024. It is a televised mental institution over there. Yeah.
That he should be the
that he should be the nominee. That he should run.
Yeah, but like, how does Oz lose to that guy? Like, there's something there other than like they all just want lockdowns. They're all idiots. What actually happened, though? Like, go deeper into the fact of, like, how does Oz, a very well-known character, lose to a literal Weekend at Bernie's character?
Yeah, he wasn't. Look, I actually kind of like Dr. Oz, and I think he's kind of like you, Adam. I think he's kind of like a disaffected liberal who's woken up a little bit, and he's kind of getting there. I was here, about 8 months
Bill Maher,
so I got to see how far we've dragged you, because I dragged Maher. I did 2 hours with Maher.
Exactly. I watched the whole thing, Club Random. I want to talk about that for sure.
But Oz just wasn't a great candidate. But it's a moot point that anyone in their right mind voted for Fetterman. Yeah. That you thought, this is a guy we should send to the Senate. He can't speak. You know what I mean? That's not to diminish the stroke and all that, but like, come on, it has to be better than this. We're sending the guy in the hoodie who can't speak. Let's roll. Yeah. But anyway, to the Trump thing that you asked originally. DeSantis is the future of free America, and Trump has to figure out if he wants to fit in that or not. Yes, does Trump have the power to burn the whole thing down right now and destroy DeSantis? Probably. Could he figure out a way to do it and just split the party and just create endless chaos? Yeah. I voted for Trump the second time. I've met him. I've liked him. I've interviewed him. He's got to figure this thing out now in a decent way, and I don't know if he has it in him, but you can feel it. People are starting to turn now.
You don't think he has it in him to realize that it's DeSantis, or you don't think he has it in him to make another run? You don't think he has in him to be a unifier for the Republican Party?
Yeah, does he have it in him to be? He could be the kingmaker. Imagine if instead of next week, instead of what everyone thinks is going to happen, which is that he announces that he's running, imagine if he gets up there and he says, I've looked at the lay of the land. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm of a certain age. DeSantis, he's the guy. He's the guy, and let me help. What a great end, not even an ending, but what a beautiful next chapter of the Trump story. I'll get out there. I'll do rallies. I'll fight for the guy. It's all I can already see it. But I can see the look in your.
But I mean, that's a hopeful, wishful thinking. But as a New Yorker, as somebody with his ego, I wish.
I agree with you, Vinny. I don't think that's gonna happen.
But I love.
But maybe we gotta pump the hell out of that story so he hears it. Because if Trump is one thing, he does hear what people want. And if the story is, man, you can still be loved. You can be loved and accomplish some of the things that you wanted to accomplish. But getting through the machine again, and that you're gonna have to take out that DeSanctimonious line a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Man,
why?
Who's sanctimonious?
Did you look up the definition of sanctimonious?
Yes,
I looked it up.
Yeah, it's Trump.
And it's basically like
Trump.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, I like Trump. This is not.
Show the definition of what sanctimonious.
Yeah, it's kind of.
By the way, because when he comes up with crooked Hillary, or wacky crazy Nancy,
Sleepy Joe,
it's not off the cuff.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of his stuff that he does is certainly off the cuff, no doubt. But this is well thought out. All right, we're going with Sleepy Joe. Sanctimonious, making a show of being morally superior to other people. So he's like, I could say anything I want about Ron Desantis, whatever name you want to go. He's like, I want to call him, you're not holier than thou. You're not chosen by God, buddy. He picked that on purpose. So in my opinion, give me one example ever in Trump's life where he's like, I will take a back seat, you be the leader.
Never.
I've never seen it.
No, I know, but that's why the story, right? Like if he wants to do the hero's journey here, it's like, man, do it. No, I know it's crazy. Yeah. I know it's crazy, but it's worth getting more people to talk about it for the next 2 weeks, because otherwise he's going to announce and they are going to have to battle it out. I would say this, DeSantis will be by far, if he wants to run. I don't know if he wants to run. I know him decently well now.
You were at the live rally, the victory party.
I did my show from the victory thing. I mean, the guy, he's surrounded by incredible people. He's competent. He's decent. He's clearly a good husband. He's a good father. It's like, it's not going to get better than this. I don't worship politicians. I don't.
No.
It is not going to get better than this guy. And I would say the real question for those of us that live in Florida, and I really honestly can't believe that you live in California.
Ricky.
Is, do we want him to run? I think there's an argument to just keep him here and let's keep this place as strong as it can be. And, I think that's worth thinking about.
The opening where you have an opening to capitalize.
Yeah, it's never been better.
No, I mean, okay, so 62 out of 67. What's he gonna do better 4 years from now? Well, like, what's gonna be better than today? You know, everybody won in your state. You flipped a purple into a red. Are you gonna be able to peak that? It's kind of like, you know, you're wanting to get a contract with a team and you want to sign a 10-year, you know, $500 million contract like you are with baseball. No, I'm gonna play one more year on a 1-year contract and I'll renegotiate my. No. Go like this year right now.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge hit how many home runs last year? 62. Yeah. So he broke the record of Roger Maris.
Now's the time to renegotiate your contract.
This is the year to get your 10-year contract. He's probably going to end up going to the Giants based on what Tom is saying. But he needs to now get his $500 million contract.
What do you think? What would you make of it if he just was like, I don't want to do it. Like, I love this state. I love what I'm doing. I love everything that I can accomplish here. And I think that the machine is so evil.
If he said that,
yeah,
I don't think he's that guy.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that is a leader amongst leaders. I think he's a guy that has had his eyes set on leading for a long time since he was a teenager. I think this guy was a teenager. You would have known something was different about him. I think if he was 22 years old, you're at a bar having a drink with him and talking to him, his language, you're going to know this is not a regular guy. If you're watching a football game with him, you're like, this guy's going to do something. I don't know what it's going to be. And he's done it. You know, being a commander of a Navy SEAL unit to going and being Congress 6th District, Daytona to go being a governor. You win only by 34,000 votes. And then it's landslide, 40-60 Charlie Chris. And then everybody in your state wins because of you. And then you flip a purple to a red. This is it. So if he's ever going to run, this is your opening.
Yeah.
If he's not, now here's the part. If he does run, now my concern, if I'm him, is the following, because this is also what you don't want. It's the replacement game. My entire mindset would be, if I'm him, it's who am I replacing? Because if you are going to go be the president, and if you are a kingmaker, who's the next person that you're working or developing or thinking to say, here's a 5 or 6 or 7 candidates that would make a hell of a governor in the state of Florida. Let's start kind of shaping their mindset. Of course, some people are going to come from the outside. I think that's what I would be thinking about if I'm him. It's probably on my top 10 list right now to find my replacement if I run for president. If I'm not planning on running for president ever, then you don't need to think about that because you've got plenty of time.
They've got to be thinking about it one way or another. And again, I have no insight into, I know his people pretty well. I have no insight into whether he wants to do it or not, but they have to be thinking about that. But I'll tell you a great story about him and running and how huge this victory was. So when we finished up my book tour, the last stop that we did was in Orlando, and I had DeSantis as my special guest. So we went right into Disney and did this show there, and they had protesters, and they're screaming, and all the usual nonsense. But I'm sitting in the green room with the governor, just the two of us, for about 10 minutes before the show, and we're just, mostly he wanted to talk about baseball, actually. We're just kind of, like it wasn't about politics. He's just a decent dude. And I said to him, Governor, you're going to win this thing by 15 points. He laughed in my face. He said 6 or 7, and now he won by 20. Wow. I mean, think about that. He thought 6 or 7. He said 6 or 7, and that would be huge. And the guy won by 20.
Do you think that he said that because he didn't realize how much of an impact he had made? I mean,
so look,
was he not aware of how much people really appreciated what he was doing and how the rest of the world does he not view himself the way we view him in order for him to tell you that?
I mean, I've had dinner with him a few times. He's normal. He would sit here with.
But does it make sense what I'm asking? Like, does he not see what we see?
But that's great, though.
It's hard.
No. 100% is great.
That might be the ultimate secret weapon.
It's great.
Probably
I'm not
just
saying
didn't want to get too cocky and be like, "Of course I got this."
That's what I love.
No, I agree.
He wants to be level-headed and just be like moderate and just be like, "Listen, keep my head down and work my ass off." And get to business.
But hold on. The reason I asked that is because if he doesn't, there's like, all the guys here, we're not where we're at right now because we're not competent. We're very secure, but it doesn't mean you can't be humble at the same time. But the reason I asked that, my concern is that does he not see himself? Like if he says something like that, okay, then if you really believe that, then you think that you may not be able to be president.
I think it might.
You can't win the presidential
It might be something like this. I think as someone that just got here, right, that is so proud to be here and so vested in not only continuing this place but making sure that it lasts for a long time. I came in with so much energy, and I see now so many. I'm sure you guys all see it with new neighbors and everything else. These people that come in and we're like, holy, we fled, we're refugees. It's amazing.
Refugees from New York.
I've got I just have my one suitcase, and and I think maybe what he didn't see that he probably now after 20-point win sees is that all of the people that came here. Not only, they all voted for him. Everyone voted for him. But then it was just working here. And you take it for granted when it's working. So then all of these new people come in and they're so excited about it. And I think maybe he couldn't quite quantify what that excitement was, because for him it was like, we're going to stay open. We're supposed to stay open. I'm not going to put you out of a job. You're not supposed to be out of a job. I'm going to send your kid to school. So I think maybe there was a little bit of a disconnect, but to your point, I think that might be the beauty of the whole thing. Actually.
Of course, I 100% agree with you. I was just wondering, because I want him to believe that, and I'm sure he does. He has the right people around him to hey, run for president because you're gonna win.
Well, can I ask one question? So Dave, Trump saying the sanctimonious statement that calling that name, because DeSantis didn't come back or he didn't shoot back.
Keep it cool, baby.
Keeping it cool. Do you guys think because of that one thing, that one moment? Two questions. Is it over? Or do you think there's people like in Trump's team like, yo, dude, chill out. He's the future. Kind of make amends because this guy, he could bring you when you guys would be the perfect team to then bring you DeSantis with, let's say, I'm just being whatever, Carrie Lake. And then Lake can run when she has her time and she can pick Tulsi Gabbard, two females, running. What do you got?
My guess is if Trump has good people around him, and that's always the thing with him. Like, are they good people? Are they actually there to help Trump, or are they there to help themselves, or whatever it is? If he has good people around him, I would imagine that they're sitting around Mar-a-Lago right now going, okay, so if DeSantis runs and if you run, what is the move on him? How do you take this guy out? You can't just, I have rumors about him and whatever. Imagine them on a debate stage where Trump's trying to call him names or do all the tricks. That, by the way, I don't have a major problem with the tricks. The tricks got him somewhere.
Yep.
There's reasons that they're not great too, but if they were on a debate stage and DeSantis just whatever the garbage was that Trump was throwing at him, if DeSantis just kept saying, this is what I did in the state, this is what I intend to do, these are the numbers, this is the support, blah, blah. Like there's a real defense there without having to play the game. Everyone else tried to play the game against Trump. Remember when he was going after little Marco Rubio and then there were those 2 days where Marco tried. Yeah. And it's like you can't beat Trump at his own game, but maybe the way you beat Trump, and again, I say this as someone that likes him, so that's the weird part. But maybe the way you beat him through pure competency and decency and just not playing. And
yeah, well, what's the famous phrase? Like, never wrestle with the pig because you both get dirty, and the pig loves it. Yeah. And that's Trump. He loves that. Yeah. So, as someone who's been lifelong Floridian, would be my advice to DeSantis, real quick. So, there's the famous saying, "Man plans, God laughs." Okay, so COVID was DeSantis' moment to shine. While the rest of the crazies were locking down and masking up and vaxxing up, he's like, not here in Florida. Like, unless there's another Black Swan event, that was his moment. Carpe diem, right? And the last thing is, you never, like Dave, we started the show with me saying, hey, welcome to Florida. These hurricanes happen. Like, get used to it. Yeah. We're going to have another 5 years of hurricane season. God forbid 3 years from now, there's another Hurricane Andrew. And he doesn't run for president this time around. And Florida gets devastated. He's at an A+ ranking right now. You can't get higher than where he is right now. He thought he was going to win by 6 or 7. You thought 15. It's 20, brother. Yeah. You could only go down from here. Whether it's Florida, some situation in Florida, situation, federally in the overall union. Now's your moment. And whether or not you have to take on Trump or not, you have to seize the moment because you do not know what's going to happen 5 years from now. Not at all.
Isn't it crazy that there's so many people in this country that don't want what we have here? That they either just don't get it or they don't understand how good it is or whatever. But like when I was driving back from Tampa yesterday, so it's about a 4.5 hour drive to get back to Miami, I just kept thinking the entire time, man, the night did not go great the way I suspected. But I am so happy to be here. I did the thing, you can always talk about what you're going to do or whatever, but I left a place that was crumbling. I moved 2 companies here. I moved an awful lot of people here. Everybody is freaking thriving and happy and it's going well.
It's great.
And it's like, that's what it's all about. So you still have that chance in America where most countries you don't. If you don't like Trudeau in Canada, whether you live in Calgary or Toronto,
You're
it doesn't.
screwed, regardless.
That's it. You got Trudeau.
Great point.
Dave, I wish you would have kept our little secret down here in Florida a little bit more of a
But you know
secret,
what- you know
bro.
what it
We had
is?
a good
Every-
life.
everyone that
now
I'm
you're
bringing-
hyping up Florida. Rent's gone up 40%, bro. There's some stuff
But you know-
happening
Well,
because
that's
you're hyping it.
So that's,
Adam, look at the
that's one
license
thing.
plates. It's not a secret.
But you know what it is though
Yeah.
is
Well, it's
that
been a secret.
people have a hard time detaching from their abusers.
Of course, you're right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's what
I
it comes
agree.
down to. I mean, it's as crazy as that sounds. It's the reality behind these. People have a hard time detaching from their abusers.
Is that
So
why you
Calif-
won't leave California?
No, honestly, you know what's funny? You know, here's a crazy part.
You got.
I was
Stockholm
literally just
syndrome.
having this conversation with a friend yesterday that I'm very attached to my family. So is my wife. My grandparents are there. They're the only two that I have left. We're very tight knit, extremely tight knit. So to me, it's like, okay, do I sit there and my income? Do I pay the crazy ass state taxes and enjoy my family the time that I have them, like especially more my grandparents than anybody else? Or do I move, not get to see them as much, and I only go back to their funeral because that's kind of where we're at? And I said, no, I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer until, my grandpa's already 80-something years old. He has heart problems. My grandma's, a little bit healthier, but she's not all great. So I had to put things in a balance because, I've been talking to Pat about it. Like, I wanted to go to Texas. I love Florida. But I just needed to put things on a balance. It just,
Well,
we're very old
everyone
school.
has that negotiation. Because
Yeah.
I tweeted this out yesterday about federalism, and that if you are not happy right now, if you're in Pennsylvania and you're not happy, you can move. And then, of course, in Twitter, where you get only the best of the best. Although it's gotten a little bit better. Something's going on with Elon. Something's happening there.
Heard
but,
something about that.
I saw the main comment I got. Well, it's not easy to move. That was the main thing that I got. And it's like, well, okay, but in life, nothing worthwhile is easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy whether you have. I'm obviously doing all right. I had 2 companies that I was moving. It wasn't easy to move my life. It wasn't easy to get all my guys to join me and move operations and all that. But you might have nothing. It would not be easy to move. You might have all sorts of family considerations and all of those things. But at least you've got the freaking choice.
Yes.
For now.
Yeah, so being Middle Eastern, a lot of your friends are Middle Eastern. They can't leave because you have to leave. Auntie, uncle, grandma. So Hispanics, Middle Eastern were very close. But going back to the Trump and DeSantis concept. So, you talked about, hey, you're going to win by 15. I think 6 or 7, right? He wins by 20. 20? What are you talking about? His speech, he was on fire.
Yeah.
He said, look, I just want to say when I first won, I won, and many of you didn't vote for me the first time. Those of you who have now voted for me, I want to tell you thank you for trusting me to vote me in, right? I mean, there's an emotional connection now with Miami-Dade.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Them to support you. So I think that the difference is DeSantis' personality doesn't allow for blind spots. Everybody has them. No matter how paranoid you are, you have blind spots. Trump's personality creates many blind spots. And the tough part is, I don't know if Trump's asking, what do you think? Okay, so I don't know if Melania's talking to him late at night. I don't know if Ivanka's talking to him. I don't know if Junior's definitely not going to be saying, hey, I think it's DeSantis. He would never, ever say that. It's kind of like Junior telling his father, Gotti, hey, Dad, I think it's time for somebody else to be. It's just not going to happen. That mindset's not going to be there. However, everybody thinks they know how Trump thinks. Everybody thinks they understand this guy. Everyone's like, here's what I would do if I was Trump. You haven't been him for 77 years. You don't know what his mom told him when he was 12 years old. Son, never let anybody, da-da-da-da-da. You don't know what his dad told him when he was 8 years old. And for him to throw in the towel as a method of being disloyal to his parents, you don't know those. We don't talk about those conversations privately. Those are very emotional. And his loyalty is not to his wife. I'm not talking in a marriage sense. I'm talking in a vision sense. His loyalty is not to his kids. His loyalty is not to the Republican Party. I feel his loyalty is to that 8-year-old kid, that 14-year-old Trump who had a conversation with a grandpa or Fred or his older brother who became an alcoholic or whoever it is. I feel if there's anyone he talks to privately when he's praying or he's talking to God or he's doing anything, I think he's talking to his parents. He's talking to his, hey, Mom, what do you think I should do? Hey, Dad, what do you think? I think those are the types of conversations. As weird as it sounds, I don't think he's calling regular people saying, what do you think we should be doing next?
Of
now,
course not.
I did talk to Giuliani when we were at his house. and we were doing the interview for Mafia States of America, which, by the way, today Rolling Stones did an article on the. It's in Rolling.
By the way,
Stones.
I think it's the 1 year anniversary coming up right now.
It could be, it could be.
Yeah,
but
Mafia States of America.
You're right. It's
Sammy the Bull, Michael Francis.
We're sitting there with Rudy, and we talk Trump, and Rudy says that, him and Trump had a conversation, and he says, "Look, if you notice I'm being unhealthy and I can't talk, I'm not the same communicator, and I'm sounding like Biden." Tell me to stop, I'll stop. Okay?
That's what Rudy said?
That's what Rudy said
you?
to me. That him
and he doesn't know you.
Yeah.
Meaning like you're not a confidant with him?
No. Rudy said to me that Trump told him that.
No,
not Rudy
I thought
telling
Rudy's
me that.
telling you this.
Yeah,
by the
no.
way, if I start babbling,
Trump,
just tell me to
Trump
stop it.
told
Wow.
Trump said to Rudy, "Hey, so here's So I don't see Rudy. It was a 3.5-hour interview. It was a 4-hour interview. We sat there in his living room. We're talking. This is, by the way, this is a week after they took the stuff out of his FBI came in. So it's like at the time when this was taking place. And so if he says that to Rudy, that means there's a few people maybe there's a few people there. But here's the other thing that we can't forget. I think, I've been running a sales organization for 21 years. The mistake I made early on, as in my 20s and my early 30s, I picked my killers and my rabbits too early. Just because I liked their personality or I like how they were and I'm like, yeah, but that guy's too quiet. Yeah, but that guy's not as fired up as yeah, but that guy's a better speaker than this guy. There was a guy named Jose. Jose was a quiet guy. Nobody banked on Jose. When I first started my own insurance company, crazy story, September 23rd, I had 52 agents that were working with me directly. I told them, I said, guys, you can pick and choose these 7 people you can work with, okay? These 7 people. Choose to work with any of these 7 people. You get to pick and choose and come and tell me, because now that I'm running a company, I can't be working with you guys directly. I have to do operations. There's this guy named Jose, okay, and his wife Marlene. Do you know how many people picked him? 0. Do you know today his business, his agency, does 40 to 50 million a year, more than anybody that was in that room and more than anybody that's ever been with us. So meaning you can't pick your rabbits too early. You can't pick a person saying, this is a long race. A lot can happen the next year and a half. We don't know what's going to be taking place. We don't know what's going to be happening to Arizona. If Kerry Lake wins Arizona, okay, and let's just say Nevada, what's the guy's last name? Laxalt. Let's say he wins it. Let's say
he was DeSantis' roommate in college? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So if they win 51-49 Senate, say that happens. It's not likely it's going to happen, but let's just say it does happen. Walker wins, the runoff in December. Let's say Nevada wins, and let's say Kerry Lake wins. Trump can say, I had a victory. So, there is that part where he can say, Kerry's my person. Kerry said, my favorite person in the world. My second favorite person in the world is my husband. My first favorite person in the world. You saw what she said.
Yeah.
And she's a very much of a, if Trump is here, DeSantis is here in the way they handle issues, they're both direct. I think Kerry's here.
Yeah.
I don't think she's here. I think she's here. She'll call people out. So it's still too early. The season, everybody is about, in NFL, they say who's going to win the Super Bowl, whoever stays healthy when the playoffs start. The playoffs hasn't started yet for presidency. You don't know what issue is going to come out with DeSantis. You don't know what's going to come out with Biden. You don't know what's going to come out with Newsom. You don't know what's going to come out with Trump. We still have a lot of time on what's going to take place.
Don't forget also, Trump loves to surprise people, right? So the only reality show I ever watched in my life was The Celebrity Apprentice. I've never seen any other. This was before Trump, obviously. It was politics and president and all that. For some reason, I watched that show. I can't even think of any other reality
Do you keep
shows.
up with the Kardashians?
I never saw. I've literally never seen
them.
I got no idea what they're doing. But for some reason, I watched that. And on that show, the mastery of that show, and they tried to replicate it with Schwarzenegger and they couldn't. They tried it with Martha Stewart and they couldn't.
Arnold.
Was that he would, every week, he'd do something nuts that you thought he couldn't do. So, they'd have 4 people remaining and suddenly he'd fire 3 of them out of nowhere and just announce the winner, So that's why I think this, having this conversation publicly, teasing out Trump, you have some options here to make you still be a winner. You can be a winner here and not be the president of the United States. You can have the rallies, have the love, get all the support, and actually maybe not have to do all the stuff that actually DeSantis is quite good at.
Yeah.
Here's where
that's pretty good.
Here's where I fully agree with you, and then also maybe where I disagree. The craziest reality show I've ever seen, and I've literally been on Keeping Up with the Kardashians for an entire season. Okay,
I did not know that.
Okay,
See, I have not watched
the craziest reality show I've ever seen.
Chris Humphries, who was
Chris
Kim's
Humphries,
first wife.
yeah.
The craziest is a second debate where he brings out, it was Keeping Up with the Clintons, where he brought up all of Clinton's mistresses on a debate stage. Was the most insane. I'm like, this guy just brought out Clinton hookers to a presidential debate. How is this even a thing? And that's Trump.
That's Trump.
And here's the one thing I'll say about Trump, but this is why I do not think he's going to.
By the way, you said hookers. I don't think these girls
They weren't hookers. They were just people that he.
Because you can't say hookers.
Should have said hookers. My bad.
Well,
lady,
some
whatever the accusers,
go ahead.
ladies.
Accusers.
Sorry for
hang on. Those
you
are
ladies.
former staff people.
So here's the beautiful thing about Trump, and this is not a knock on Trump. This is actually the truth. I actually believe whatever he says, I take at face value. Meaning, I don't think he has a hidden agenda. I think Trump literally says what he thinks, good or bad. Whatever he says, I'm like, that's how Trump thinks. You might agree with it. You might disagree with it. He's not like, all right, I said that on TV, but behind closed doors, I'm doing this. I think he's just like, Russia, if you're listening, like he just says shit. So back to this sanctimonious thing. If you want to just get a little insight to what he's thinking, it's exact same playbook 2016. Look at the poll numbers. 80% want me. Look at DeSanctimonious. He's at 10%. Good job there, Ron.
But the crowd wasn't into it.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying that the crowd's not into it. I'm just saying he's doing it. So I'm taking what he does at face value. Oh, Mike Pence at 7%. Better than I thought there, Mike. All right, buddy. What's her face? Liz Cheney, 3%. No way she's got 3%. No way. That's how he thinks. So he still believes that he has 80% approval ratings within the Republican Party. And if he actually sees that, he's not going anywhere.
Isn't it kind of funny? It sounds like we all just want him to be a little bit better. We're not asking for like major rehaul with him, right? Like it was just like, could you just be a little bit better for this moment, perhaps?
But a leopard cannot change its spots, and Trump ain't doing it at 78 years old.
But can I say one thing though? Let's not forget that this dude came in, and everybody came against him. The media, he hit the beehive. He got stung by everybody, the media, and it was all set up. It was all bullshit. Russia was bullshit. What kind of attitude would you have if you're a boss? And you came in, and you know what you said? You're fake news, and because of that, look at CNN has gone to shit because he pointed them out. All the Pelosi, everybody came on him. Bro, he fought back. I wouldn't trust anybody, and I'd be an asshole if I was him too. So what do you expect? I don't agree with going after DeSantis, but bro, it's a fight. If you're number one and you want to be number one, you're talking shit and the gloves come off.
I get that. Remember when people would always say, I actually do like Trump, but the tweets are a bit much. And I always thought that was such a bizarre thing to say because it's like, oh, so if the guy who did the thing that nobody said could be done would just behave a little bit more like you who've never accomplished anything, then, so that's why it just always fell flat to me. Like,
you know what's funny, Dave, that's the issue. That's Adam's problem. That Adam cannot see Trump's accomplishments because he doesn't like the guy. That's so you
not
just
true.
100% is true.
All that work that
wasn't a question.
Call me out, then I'll respond.
That was not a question. That was a statement. I don't know if you know the difference.
Oh, I do.
So what I'm telling
I'm about to come back to you with a statement
because you don't like him. Apart from all of his accomplishments, lowest unemployment in history for blacks and Hispanics, highest stock market, first president to ever walk in North Korea and meet with the president of North Korea, lower the tensions with Russia, won a trade war with China. Come on, bro. The list goes on, and you still like, fuck this guy. I'm like, bro, come. There's gonna be I don't like him. I don't like him. A lot of his personality either. But at the end of the day, I want to live in a country where my taxes are low, stock market's doing good, unemployment's low, and we're beating other countries. And that's what Trump gave us. So all this other bullshit is a bunch of emotional bullshit of people that don't like how he is. That's why he's a winner. You're not gonna like winners. Michael Jordan. You have Scottie Pippen talking shit about Michael Jordan on this show.
The Last Dance.
The Last Dance. Yeah. All of a sudden, Michael Jordan's an asshole, dude. If you read the book and when you talk about Michael Jordan, all the guys that left his team after he left were getting big ass contracts, and they were not worth that because Michael Jordan was no longer around. So that's what I'm getting at. Like, no matter how much you don't like a person, if they're making everybody better and they're making everybody's lives better financially, economically, socially, whatever the case may be, the hell with how they act. Oh, it's not very presidential. Every other president's screwing you over. So what the hell does it matter? I talk shit, but give me a good economy. Talk shit, but lower unemployment. Talk shit, but lower tensions with Russia. And talk shit, but win trade war. You can't have it both. And the thing about a lot of Americans is they want both. You can't have it both. Either you're gonna have a good speaking guy like Obama is an idiot, and with the country, and then the Hispanics love him. In 2014, he created the cages our people are in, and deported more people, more immigrants than any other president in history. But he speaks well. Like, you gotta choose one or the other. You can't have it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And going back to your point, that's you described Adam, point by point on this is the American people right here.
Well, yeah, great job, Ricky.
How do you really feel?
Your rehearsed speech.
No, he knows how I feel. That shit was not rehearsed.
Your rehearsed speech really played over well. Here's what I will say. I'm actually one of the few people that will acknowledge his accomplishments and say I do approve of what he was able to do.
But you don't want him in office.
Oh, yeah, Hefe. Let me speak, and then I'll come to you. That's how this works. I will acknowledge what he did for the economy. I would acknowledge what he did for unemployment. I will acknowledge what he did for the stock market. I will acknowledge what he did with the Middle East. I'm able to do that. But it's not about me. I'm giving you insight to what 50+% of the country thinks. And 50% of the country, like for instance, if I hear nails on a chalkboard, I don't care what you're writing on the chalkboard. All I'm hearing is, ah! And I'm like, no, that's good for you, bro. It's like, the American people, this isn't me, Ricky, this isn't you. The American people hear him speak and it's nails on a chalkboard. And then you have people like you that's saying, no, what he's writing on the chalkboard is good. And people are like, yeah, I just don't want that sound in my life. And here's my point. Do you think most people, not you, not me, not Dave, not Pat, not Vinny, do most people vote because of policy or personality?
No, personality.
Okay, so you know the answer.
Yeah.
So people don't like his personality. So don't be shocked when he doesn't win.
Well, I would also add to that if you think about it this way, can Trump bring in any new voters? Is there anyone that didn't vote for him last time that suddenly will come?
100%.
Maybe. Well, no. So I would say I would say there might be some really broken Democrats who are just like, Biden has dementia. This thing's going to shit. And so you get this tiny amount. Yeah. The bigger issue though is that the amount of people who will be depressed by the end of 4 years of Biden that will suddenly vote because they hate Trump, you probably increase that by about 5 million voters, something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem Trump has. He doesn't have, his ceiling is basically there already, but the floor now moves because a certain amount of people hate him. That in some ways is the best argument for DeSantis. It's like DeSantis actually can bring in a whole bunch of the disaffected liberals and the libertarians and blah, blah, blah.
That's my point.
And the hatred of DeSantis, although the media will do all their tricks and they'll make him, what they're going to do, I mean, I've been saying this for a year, he'll be Hitler, but worse, because he'll be competent Hitler, right? Trump was incompetent Hitler, but they'll make him competent Hitler. That will be the argument, that he's functional, but has all the bad ideas, and Trump was just a buffoon. But that's the issue, is that DeSantis can bring in a whole bunch of new people. Who's the new people that Trump can bring in? That's a real issue.
I'll ask you one question, and this is my entire point of where I stand politically, because I'm not on Team Red, I'm not on Team Blue, I'm on Red, White, and Blue. I love America. I'm a very moderate person in all aspects of my life. Who has a better chance of getting to a 60% approval rating? Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis?
Yeah.
Who is it?
No, it's DeSantis.
It's obviously not even close.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for America. I want whoever it is, the president to be a unifier. And Donald Trump, as love him or hate him, he will get you 45%. No problem.
You know, I've been playing.
You ain't getting higher than that.
I've been playing a lot of old Reagan clips on my show from before he was from the 60s, before he was even, just as he was becoming a politician, before he was governor of Cali, and then as president. And it's like that aspirational message. It's the same stuff that DeSantis is doing. DeSantis has to push a little more against the woke stuff, which Reagan was doing more directly towards socialism or communism. Right. But it's the same message of this country is good. Let's get the government out of the way. Live your life. Like, it's basic stuff that we all want. But yes, we still have this issue where a certain amount of people, they don't know what they want or why they should want it. And we just have to either accept or figure out how you deal with it.
Did you hear what DeSantis said about Florida. This is where woke comes to die. I think
Love
it's a
it.
great line.
Yeah,
Love it.
Yeah,
It's a great line.
Got a
And
huge-
what I
huge
like
applause.
about DeSantis, and I voted for DeSantis, I see what's going on in Florida. I think he has the ability. All I'm looking for is the ability to get to 60%, because that's my one wish for America. We're not enemies, like Ricky and I. Like, can we get to a point where we're just like, yo, you're cool, homie. We might disagree, but we're good.
We may never get there. I mean, look, we have a federalist system for a reason, and the states may just kind of go their separate ways, and that you want to neuter the federal government as much as possible. That might be a much better way to deal with all of this. Like, at the end of the day, it's sad, right? I'm from New York. I lived in Cali. It's not, you don't think that it should be that way. We're supposed to be the United States, but maybe at the end of the day, the only way to do this is we will just continue to do it right here. And we will take the refugees and then hopefully make sure that the refugees know why they came here. But Cali is gone. It's just gone. They just reelected Gavin Newsom. Even worse than that, Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer.
Oh my God.
Gretchen Whitmer was evil. I mean, purely evil. Her intentions are evil. That's what I mean. They know the intentions. She's evil. She was banning people from planting seeds in their gardens during COVID. I literally sent from Crazy Cali.
Yeah.
I was sending people plants and seeds. She's evil, and they decided, yeah, we would like more of that. The people of New York, Hochul literally said during the debate, I would do it all over again, mandates and all that. And then these morons voted for her. So at some point, it's like, well, what do you want me to do? I live in Florida. I live around freedom and good people.
Well, Dave, New York, I mean, we can talk about all day about New York, how liberal they are, but Michigan, you talk about Rust Belt. I mean, they voted for Bush, then they voted for Obama. I'm talking Michigan.
Yeah.
And then they voted for Obama, then they voted for Trump, and then they wanted Bernie, but then now they got Biden. Michigan is you talk about a flip-flopper. Every 4 years, they're going a different way. My dad's from Detroit, so I asked my grandma. My grandma voted for Bush. She did not vote. She voted for McCain. She voted for Trump. She could not vote for Trump again. She voted for Biden. Like, my grandma is from Michigan. And she, like, you're talking about someone who voted Republican, but it would go either way. She's like, I just can't do this guy.
Yeah.
There's two things there, Adam.
Like, that's what's happening.
There's two things there. First of all, you cannot take an election result in America and interpret that as a mandate. And here's why. Because, you know, the pollsters are usually wrong, but usually where they start. And they start with, okay, some basic numbers in a particular state. Let's take a state. Say a state's 43%, registered Democrat that they think are pretty locked in. And they look at history in the state and maybe 40% Republican. So that's 83. They put on that about 15 points of legitimate modern day independent voters, and then about 5 to 6%, depending on the state, for libertarian and green. That's the playing field. The billions are usually spent on that 10 to 14 in the middle. And as you look at these where we're locked in, we are locked in America right now. It's kind of like looking at Coke and Pepsi. If you do case studies on market share of soda through the 80s, they would spend billions on advertising, and they were both locked in at 44% market share. And it was, and Pepsi went to the fountain business and tried to get the fast food and do it that way. The point is, you can't take these elections and interpret it as a mandate. Michigan didn't flip-flop as much as the independent voters were moving. And Trump knew that when he did those rallies in the rural areas, he's like, I can't be 65% out here. Out here, I got to be 75 because it's got to counteract core Detroit that's going to be voting how it's locked in. And that's the first point. And so I think we have to look at the billions spent for the 15 in the middle, usually. Now, if you look at a unifier, a true unifier in DeSantis, you now see that the only way he gets to 20 points is that Florida broke, not like so many other states and races. So many races went exactly the way I'm describing here. But Florida, a bunch of Democrats walked across the line. And he didn't get 100% of the Republican vote. He got pretty close to it. And the independents came across the line because there was two things. He was a unifier and he got the job done. COVID, I think my governor got the job done. You take a look at what happened with Hurricane Ian, and he was over there in those white boots for a week, not doing a photo op dropping in. He was at the command center. He had the National Guard guys over there. He had these things, and people look at it, hey, I think my governor just did a pretty damn good job. DeSantis went from 35,000 vote victory when elected initially to this because he did a great job, and it took stones and it took standing up and then being right in those moments where he stood up. And the people of Florida have said, you know what? I'm with it. And I'm with it.
So the point you're making, Tom, what's the point you're making? You're saying
there's a
drink Coke, not Pepsi.
there's two. Is one is the elections, you can't look at it as a mandate because you have to look at these tight statistical results that we have. And the second is we need a unifier that is a true unifier and somebody that gets a job done. That's not just throwing out, hate the other side because of this, hate the other side, trying to move people on emotion.
Yeah.
And
so are you saying that you would vote for DeSantis over Trump? You personally? Is that what you're saying?
DeSantis it's not who I'll vote for. It's who's earning it. And I think Governor DeSantis has earned my vote and earned my support. He's doing a great job in the state where I live.
Something else happened in Florida that I don't think people realize how important it is in terms of getting guys like you and the disaffected liberals, which is that 15%, right? If there's 15%, if that's the number we're going with, that can move. It's like, how do you get those guys to move? You guys may remember, nobody really talked about it in the media, but sometime in March or so, Florida passed the 15-week ban on abortion. 15 weeks is 3.5 months. Regardless of what any of our personal beliefs are in terms of when life starts and all of those things, that is not only what I would consider the moderate position. My personal belief might be a little bit before that, actually. But not only is that the moderate position, it's the position that every sane Democrat had 20 years ago. No, there was literally no Democrat that had 8-month post-birth abortions, which now is the movement in the Democrat Party. That is Cali, that is New York. These are laws that they've passed.
Dave,
he got helped by that.
But they're going 2 weeks after birth.
No, post-birth abortions. We used to call that murder.
That's a murder.
That's a murder,
I thought.
Yeah.
But the fact that
there was
got
nothing
passed,
moderate about that.
No, well, that's the point. So that's the point. So Florida is actually probably the most moderate state on abortion. So you can think of now, the media will now paint Florida as this crazy far right, conservative, red, blah blah blah. But it's like, actually, what are we? We're moderate.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
So what makes it easy for media today to go after Trump is if Lake loses, if Herschel Walker loses, and if Nevada loses, they can say whatever they want to say. I will tell you, if Walker and Nevada win, they don't have a lot to say to Trump. Okay, so
if Lake does it, then Masters probably
Tyler,
gets over.
Exactly. Blake Masters will do that as well. So meaning, if that does take place, forget about it, right? So Trump's back a month from now saying, I told you, and he's going to play that card, right?
Man, it's tight, Pat. Look at it.
Yeah, no, I.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but they're saying they could be counting all the way into Thanksgiving, if not Christmas. They said
Well,
they're prepared to work until Christmas.
I want to know your opinion on that. Like we were talking right before you walked in the 1800s during a civil war, people voted, and in 1 week they had the results. We are the most technologically advanced. We have shit on Mars walking around right now. We can't count the vote, and it's not going to come out.
I got to tell you guys, it was so yesterday, obviously, or 2 days ago was my first time voting as a Floridian. It was such a freaking pleasure. I go to this school, pleasant people there, dressed in normal clothes, didn't look like a homeless shelter. You go in, they hand you a piece of paper and a pen. You actually do it yourself. You then put it in an envelope. You walk over to a booth where there's someone standing. They confirm that you are you after you've already shown an ID. You drop it in. You feel like, this process is not pure nonsense. There's something actually happening here, right? Versus Cali, which I voted in many times, where I literally, the last time I tried to vote in the recall election where I campaigned with Larry Elder.
Awesome.
It did not go well, but I tried. I actually busted out my ID. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just like, I'm showing up at a polling place. You show your ID. The woman freaked out. She kind of like...
It's racist. It's racist to show your ID.
What?
Yeah.
She weirded out?
Yeah, because they don't... I don't want an ID.
He's got a gun.
I'm a poll worker. Come on. What do you... And you have no faith in the system. So the fact that I did something where you then have faith in the system, and there's even Christ and whatever crazy Democrat vestiges exist here in Florida, nobody's claiming there's fraud here. There is nobody claiming there's fraud. And that's why at Rubio's debate, when they asked him and Val Demings, will you respect the results? And Rubio goes, well, I'm going to win, but obviously I'll respect the results. We've cleaned up the rolls. Everything is legit here. And that's what people want. basic competency.
We've come a long way from the-
couple things, before we transition to the next topic. So, why do you think the market tanked 633 yesterday? Tom, why do you think the market tanked 633 yesterday?
The stock market hates uncertainty, and there is a tremendous amount of automated trading, and the automated traders, they plug things into their models, making like a weather forecast. They look at interest rates, they look at employment, they look at supply costs, and they plug those in. And when there's uncertainty, you can almost see when all these algorithms and the programmatic trading refreshes. It was up 300 in the morning. The more it went, all of a sudden it starts tipping. And it's because they look at momentum, they look at a lot of things. The market hates uncertainty, and the market says we are not certain about how we're going to be governed and legislated and more regulated, is the way the businesses pronounce it. We don't know what's going to happen there because we don't know the outcome of these elections here, and here. And when they plug that uncertainty in there, what happens is they sell current positions. And when
Did you see what's going on today with the stock market?
Yeah, I'm sending that
Watch
to you,
this.
Tyler, right now.
Adam just showed it to me.
Yeah, well,
700?
Up
so-
850.
Yeah, so basically here's
up
what's going
880.
on in the market today.
Yep.
Everything's up, big. Dow Jones up 800, S&P up 156, Nasdaq, Russell, Ethereum, Amazon, Tesla, Disney, Nvidia, Apple, Meta, Google, everything up, big. The only thing that's down today,
What?
Bitcoin. How weird is that?
Yep.
So Pat was right. Pat, yesterday we should have bought as much shit as we could. Yesterday was the day.
Yeah, but
when it was down.
I rang the bell at NASDAQ since I last saw you.
Oh,
that.
wow.
I've had
How was that?
I've had a good year.
That was for Rumble,
It was
right?
pretty sweet.
How
Yeah.
was
for
that?
Rumble.
It was incredible. This was about a month and a half ago.
That's cool.
Went to New York, and I saw Locals, which was my tech company that I started to fight big tech. We merged with Rumble. Rumble through SPAC. It was basically the only SPAC of the year that actually did its thing as it was supposed to. And about a month and a half ago, went there. Dang,
That's sick.
Rang the bell. And what was super cool about it was I used to do stand up at a little comedy club that we started. It was underneath TGI Fridays
In
on
New York.
49th
Yeah.
and Broadway, which was right next to Lehman Brothers, which then obviously became Barclays and whatever else it is now. But I used to stand out there 2 hours a night, 6 nights a week, handing out tickets to comedy shows when I had no freaking money. I was barking. I was broke. I had a friend who worked in food service who used to just deliver me giant industrial cans of tuna. That's what I lived on for like 10 years. Probably going to die of mercury poisoning one day.
But you look rich. But you're rich.
I'm all right now. But literally 2 blocks away from that, I'm ringing the bell 15 years later.
so
Like,
cool.
how
Awesome.
awesome is that?
That's the American dream.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the great.
You were super liberal eating that tuna at that point, no?
I was a lib. I was eating a lot of tuna. It was
Now you
By
don't
the
eat
way,
steak,
talking
buddy.
now
about
it's
That's
all
it.
steak. It's all steak.
Talking about
It's all
raw.
raw.
Talking about
obviously.
SPACs, Truth Social,
Yeah.
the day he announced he's going to be announcing his presidency next week, stock went up 66% in a day.
Wow.
Then right after Super Tuesday, midterms, his stock dropped 28%, okay? 22 to 28% the following day. So his
Saying
SPAC,
since yesterday.
yeah, so he checked to see where it's at today, the SPAC, but it went 66 when he announced that he's announcing.
It's dual.
Because you know how Trump does that. He announces to announce to announce. So he's, but yeah, his SPAC had a good day and then it had a bad day after the turnout. So Tom, now that the market's up 888, what the hell is going on now?
Well, you'll see these in cycles. Sometimes this is called a dead cat bounce in trader parlance. So yesterday things go down, and then there's a perception that things are on sale. And so now you had a lot of momentum right out of the gate making a purchase. I don't think it'll stay this 800 to the end of the day. I think it's going to settle back. But this is our stock market. It gets spooked one day, and then things are down enough, and then it says, I think some of these things maybe, you know what? I can make a little play here, and people.
You said they said if the inflation is going to come at 7.9, if it comes at 7.9, they're not worried that Powell's going to overreact. He's still going to increase interest rates in December, but not dramatically. But if inflation comes 8 or higher, he may increase by 1 basis point in December. And a lot of people are panicking, specifically in the real estate world.
half a point seems to be locked in right now.
Well, here's breaking news from Wall Street Journal. This is 10 minutes ago. Inflation eased to 7.7% in October as underlying price increases, excluding energy and food, slowed down from 4-decade high.
Well, guess what? Yesterday things were down. appear like they're on sale. Now they get confirmation that they're probably not going to get that 1 point. It'll be the half a point that they've already got priced in. Market reacts up.
Yeah.
It has certainty that it's going to be a half point, not a full point, because
I just want you guys to know during this conversation, I have nothing to add. Just know that. And I want the viewers to know, me nodding.
You're
I'm
amazing.
acting like I know, Pat.
But
actually
listen,
not true.
You look.
Do I
you
know
look.
what the hell? I was going to go like
CEO.
this. I was going to go like this. You
The
know,
one
it's
part of this
inflation.
entire show that you 100% identify with was Dave
I
Rubin
love
doing
him.
stand-up.
Oh, me-
no, doing the stand-up
Doing
outside
stand-up,
of...
and then me and Dave, we actually did the same. So I'm from Yonkers, New York.
Yeah.
Went to LA, stand-up, acting. God bless, and I appreciate Pat every single day because I contacted Pat, and I'm here now, which it was... I wanted to ask this earlier just really fast, Pat. What do you think, because you said it earlier, the side that's just like diehard, they're the leftists, the Democrats, what do you think there... Is it that side is just so hardcore and they'll never admit fault? Because I don't really have a side date, but like when Trump says stupid stuff like that, I go, dude, he's messing up. I'm in 9 different group chats that are all political and I can't leave because one of them has a freaking Android. They still to this day, bro, they won't admit. I never hear, you know what, Biden's messing up or this is. They're just. Do you think they just love their party?
I think the machine and the mass brainwashing is so intense that they cannot get out of it. It's that moment. So when I did Maher's podcast a couple weeks ago,
I really want to talk about.
and I said to him, he kept saying, well, Trump's an election denier. And I said, well, Hillary Clinton did call Trump an illegitimate president. She tweeted it. It's on video many times.
And he was like, when? He never said that.
His response to me was, no, that never happened. And he kind of screamed it as if I completely made it up. And then once I calmly explained, no, it did happen. I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I couldn't show it at the moment. But we've been tweeting about it. We've been texting. He now acknowledges it's real. But what it showed me was, wow, even Bill Maher, right? This is the gold standard for liberalism in America for 20 years. The left now hates him because he's an actual liberal, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, the day before the election, he's on MSNBC basically saying you have to vote Democrat. So I guess my job did not. I did not fully complete my job.
Yeah.
But I tried. I think I tried more than probably anyone has directly to his face on camera. But that moment where I'm telling him what is obvious, what is the Stacey Abrams election denial, all of this stuff, and that he did not know. I think that's what you're talking about. So then you tell people basic truths, and it is so out of whack with what they believe because they watch MSNBC, and I mean, not that anyone's even watching it, but the culture stuff that leaks through to people. And that's why they've been censoring us for so long.
You're right.
That's why this Elon Musk thing is so massive. Because I don't know if you guys noticed this, but even I think it started this morning on Twitter. If you look at you're verified. If you look at your verified mentions now, because people can buy in because of blue.
Bunch of new ones
now
you don't recognize. They're not verified.
Right. So on one hand, it's kind of like, all right, maybe I don't want to see all these people. But on another hand, what is it doing? It's making it so that all of the Politico journalists and Daily Beast journalists, all of these people who got the blue check because they work at these places, so you somehow think, oh, they must be legit and important. Well, now they're just like everybody else.
Yep.
And that hopefully will cause some of the change here, where the guys that you're in the group with will somehow, some level of reality will crash into them because the censorship, at least at the Twitter level, maybe is crumbling.
Did you see the question that they asked Biden yesterday about Musk? Did you see that question?
Oh, yeah.
Or no? Can you post it? Can you put it up real quick?
It's wild.
It's very interesting. Watch this here. Watch this here.
Elon Musk is a threat to U.S. national security, and should the U.S. and with the tools you have investigate his joint acquisition of Twitter with foreign governments, which include the Saudis?
Look how long this takes.
I think that
Why does he have 3
Elon
microphones?
Musk's
He's thinking. Look.
cooperation and/or
Look. Wait.
technical relationships with other countries is worthy of being looked at. Whether or not he is doing anything inappropriate, I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that it's worth being looked at.
Oh my God.
But that's all I'll
Jesus,
say.
That's
What a vile statement. It's worth being looked at. I'm not saying he's doing anything, but we'll find
we're gonna
something.
look. Yeah,
we're going to
exactly
freaking look.
that.
We're going to keep look. Also, he has no idea what he's talking about. His people have been the ones for the last 2 years. We now know it. All those docs that were leaked, that Intercept covered. We know that the government was coordinating with big tech to silence people. It is the greatest mass violation of the First Amendment in the history of America. And I don't even know, did they even cover it on CNN?
Nope. But
I actually checked the day the story broke. It was not on CNN's front page, but you know what was? The Oath Keepers, which is some Trump-related something, the day of January 6th, the insurrection, they spent $400 at Olive Garden. That was that was on the front page of CNN that day.
Unbelievable.
The day that they break these docs. That's what we're up against.
They do
guys.
give free
you're right.
breadsticks.
No,
so, I mean,
so it seems like it's a lot of money
have a little
with all the
respect for
breadsticks. Yeah.
But here's my question with that, because that's, I mean, whether you're left, right, center, up, down, purple, that's not good. Like that, you can't look at him and be like, that's my guy. And I'm not.
God.
But why would he stop?
But
Why would he stop?
But here's my point. You'd rather have Biden in office at the very least than Kamala, right? I mean, you came from California. Because if you're suggesting let's get rid of Biden, let's get him out of there, let's impeach him, let's use the whatever amendment to get him 25th. Then you get Kamala.
No, it's all bad.
I don't
it's
want
all
that.
Bad. It's all bad, and these people will never stop. That's what's the most
But
disappointing.
who would you
part.
rather have, Biden or Kamala? Legit.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it don't matter. They have handlers.
Neither one of them is
They
in
have handlers.
charge.
Yeah, they have
matters a
handlers.
little bit. I mean,
Honestly,
you don't want
my
Kamala
theory
up there,
my
right?
theory on Kamala is that her speechwriters are actually working for us, because some
I
of
thought
the
the
stuff
kids
that's
were the
coming out of her
speechwriters.
mouth, you know.
I did a sketch on Valuetainment Comedy Day where I'm tripping out because we can't find the speech, and I'm like, it's outside the writers' room. We walk in a room, and it's Pat's kids and everybody throwing shit all over the place. But,
Time.
Time. The passage of time.
But I don't understand. We had this conversation the other day about Elon Musk, and I was like, what's with this hatred of Elon Musk?
I know, it's
I
crazy.
don't get it. And we checked his Q score, right? What were the results of that Q score? It's the media, it's the politicians, it's bureaucracy, but the people love Elon Musk.
He's about to
with the
enable,
exception of Dogecoin, whatever.
He's enabling equal time, and he is destroying one of the pillars of speech control that was in front of them. And they had them all lined up. Meta.
Let me just read a couple things here
Had them
for
all
you.
set, and
So here's two stories. One, not just job cuts. Elon Musk eliminated Twitter days of rest and work from home policies last week, pushing a 24/7 work culture. If you're a Twitter employee who has a satisfying work-life balance, you may not want to hear what the new boss has to say. Musk cut close to 3,700 jobs at Twitter, or half of the workforce, via email last week. Musk has also removed Twitter's days of rest, monthly days off for employees to rest and recharge in its push to implement 24/7 work culture. Additionally, Bloomberg reported that Musk plans to end the company's remote work policy and ask remaining employees to work to return to office full-time. Fantastic. Now watch this next one here. After weeks of media teeth gnashing over Musk takeover, Twitter sees explosive user engagement. Twitter's daily user growth hit an all-time high during the first full week of Elon Musk owning the platform, according to a company document obtained by The Verge. Since Musk's dramatic takeover, Twitter's monetizable daily user growth has accelerated more than 20%, while Twitter's largest market, the U.S., has grown even more quickly. Per the FAQ, Twitter has added more than 15 million monetizable daily user, not bots, crossing the 250 million mark since the end of second quarter, when it stopped reporting financials as a public company. So on one end, they're bashing the guy. On the other end, it's getting more engagement than ever before.
Look, the fact that he's just doing this blue thing for $8, it's like, look how many people are doing it. I don't know what the numbers are on that yet, but people wanted to give Twitter money, and Twitter had no mechanism to do it. I think Twitter is going to look completely 180 different in a year from now than it looks right now. It's going to look much more like WeChat, which is a Chinese app, which there's all sorts of reasons that we shouldn't be cloning Chinese apps, but that you're going to be able to do much more within Twitter in terms of purchases and communities and all sorts of stuff. That's obviously the route that he's going, but he has unlocked something. He has unlocked the fact that the government was in on it with the previous guys, and Jack Dorsey should be hauled in front of Congress again and again. I know nothing ever comes of it when they do it.
Of course.
But Jack Dorsey has a lot to pay for. They still have to expose what really happened with the laptop and who fully decided all of this stuff, and was a call put in by the government to Vijay Agade, who is the head of trust and safety. And there's so much that he can expose right now.
And COVID and all that.
Hence why Joe Biden is up there going, well, we'll find something.
And also, don't forget one thing with the $8 and how he's trying to monetize. He's realizing he can't just rely on corporate advertisers to continue operating how they have been. Because how many advertisers have already pulled out of Twitter?
No, something like 50. This is definitely your guys' department more than mine, but has anyone ever bought a company at the premium that he bought a company at and then within 2 weeks fired 75% of the workforce? Like, is there any comparable to that anywhere?
Pat, is that normal?
Where someone bought something at such a high
not
price?
This size. No, not at this size. Not at this size. It happens all the time with smaller companies, but not at bigger companies. Sam, would you agree with that? Not at this
Totally
kind of a
agree.
scale.
Buying something at a premium and then doing something like this, that's not usually the way it works. The way it works is, it's 1995 and you buy Harley Davidson when it's really having a tough run, but it's a beautiful brand and it's got products that can be revived. Then you remove half of the people and you restructure it and then you take off again because it's Harley Davidson. That happened to Harley Davidson a couple times in cycle, but it's never a premium where you pay like this huge premium for it and say, okay, I'm going to do this. Now, sometimes, private equity will buy companies like this. And then what they'll do is they'll see, they want in, and it's a good sector with good growth and great fundamentals of the company, and they believe that a 7%, 5% layoff is going to increase the profitability of the company because they believe they're going to run it a little bit better than the previous administration did. But I've never seen something that this level of premium.
Tom, let me ask you a question.
This level of departure.
Regarding that. So like if you're using the Harley Davidson example, I assume that they're firing because they want to restructure and just kind of like reposition the workforce.
Yeah, they're saying this company's not doing well for a reason, and I'm about to fix it, and it's these guys.
Meaning it's not ideological at all. It's actual business. But I guess first impression would be Musk is firing these people. A lot of it is because ideological reasons, right? I mean, that's the premise that I would kind of. Obviously, there's restructuring and reformatting in business, but is some of this ideological reasons? Like we saw what percentage of Silicon Valley and those types of companies donate to D's versus R's. I'm wondering how much of this restructuring, firing, all that is business versus ideological.
I would say yes, but no. Yes, there is ideological elements here. But the other side of it, he's buying this because he thinks he can do something with it. Let's not forget, this is not George Soros buying a company and doing it. This is an operator, an entrepreneur. Oh, you're going to make rockets go to Mars. Well, he's almost there. You're going to do the same with the electric car. He's got battery technology. He's got electric cars that look good, that run good, they're reliable. I mean, he's pulling it off. So is he making changes that have ideological elements to it? Sure. But I think he looks inside and says, wow, there needs to be free speech. There needs to be this. This needs to be so much better. And I can make a buck on it. And these sons of bitches aren't doing it, so I'm going to make a wholesale change. But I think at the core, some people see ideological, wholesale layoffs on that. No, I think he's looking. You knuckleheads are doing a bad job. You're doing a really bad job, and I'm going to buy this. I'm going to do a better job.
I think a couple times, not to cut you off. I think a couple times, like people came in, and they're like, coming in. It's like, did you ever talk shit about me? And they're like, no. And they just pulled up their tweet. Like, you talk shit, you're out. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're probably right.
Well, that's where I'm
like,
going
if you
with
talk
the
trash about me, you're out.
Okay, number 67 out. 68, come on
68.
in.
So
But also try to imagine what so many of these employees were doing on the DL. Like now that we have some insight, and this is what he really has to expose if he wants to clean it up and then move the company forward. It's like, how many of those employees were reading your DMs? Because there's no doubt that they were.
100%.
There's just no doubt that they were. Mm-hmm. How many of them were making sure that, for example, in July of 2021, when I tweeted out that mandates were coming and vaccines weren't working and I got suspended on Twitter, was that either the government that did it or was it an insider at Twitter that did it? He can now figure this all out. They have logs of all of this stuff. This is not, they can't paper shred all of this. So it's like if he just goes in and figures out who did what, when did they do it, and get rid of everybody. I mean, everybody there. Do not hire because of equity, hire because of competency, and give everybody what they want. He has it. In some ways, it's a very easy job because everyone wants him to succeed, except for Biden.
I like what you said there. Do not hire because of equity. Hire because of competency. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's a major theme in America today, right?
Mm-hmm. It's very bizarre. I don't hire people based on the color of their skin.
I like what he said yesterday. He says, please note that Twitter will do lots of dumb things in coming months. We will keep that what works and change what doesn't. So he's testing right now. Here's what we're trying. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And people are adjusting to it, and he's going to constantly figure out a way to make it better. Dorsey yesterday apologized. Did you see the Dorsey apology yesterday? Dorsey, did you read Dorsey's apology? What did you think about that?
It rings very hollow to me.
Yeah.
You when you had a chance, dude, you did everything wrong. Then you step away. Also, the Dorsey thing, and I've chatted with him privately a couple of times. The Dorsey thing seems very odd to me because you guys all know how hard it is to run one company. So now you're running Twitter, like the most public company in the history of the world where everything is happening. And he was also running, what was the other company he was the CEO of? Stripe? Not Stripe, or Square.
Oh,
It's like,
Dorsey,
how is that even possible? And then, you know, he goes in front of Congress and he lies. Do you shadow ban? No. And it's like, come on, man. But they know that nothing ever happens with these things. So, you know, he's just trying to get back in. I don't blame him for what he's doing. He's trying to figure out a way to wiggle himself back in. And that's what any of us would do, right? You know, if you did everything wrong all the way.
Well, Dorsey must look at Elon after, you know, Dorsey's running two companies. Look at Elon. He's running Tesla and SpaceX and Neuralink and what's the satellite company? He's got the Boring
Starlink,
company, Starlink, and now it's Tesla. It's like this guy might be an alien.
He's an alien, Adam. I agree.
Okay. I know he bangs
agree.
aliens.
I like what he's doing. And I like what he's doing. Dave, did you see about a week and a half ago where he actually tweeted 2 images from emails between the 2 executives?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's putting it out there. So it's like, okay, I'll tell you what. For all you guys who want to be yelling about this,
Here you go.
here. Because he walked in and he said, you know what? Can you pull the executive emails here and here for the guys I just let go? Don't touch them. Just pull them out there. I want to see this dialogue. Oh, this is very interesting. And so he showed America. He showed us this. And I think that's a sign of what he's saying.
It is also kind of funny that a guy who's literally sending us to Mars decides to get into this fight of all fights, which is the most painstaking, you know, just the craziest cultural fight you could possibly ever get in. And then he fires these guys. And now, you know, the lawsuits are going to be endless, right? Because he's trying to stop their golden parachutes because he's firing them for incompetency. They're going to obviously claim that they were not. Like, he's just opened himself up to everything. This guy who could literally leave Earth, have no problem that any of us could ever imagine.
He loves it.
Yeah.
He loves it.
So, Pat, what do you think is his actual motivation? Because prior to Twitter, I don't think he was a big First Amendment free speech guy. Like, that wasn't his fight whatsoever. It was, you know, Star Trek vibes, third dimension, another world, let's go to space, all that. Now, what do you think his motivation is?
I don't think that it wasn't his MO pre-COVID. I just think it wasn't as bizarre as it got during COVID. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And he says, look, I'm going to buy one of these companies. You know, I'm going to buy Twitter. You know, of course, we'd love for him to buy Facebook and some of these other guys. I don't think he can go raise that kind of money yet, unless if the valuation goes lower. But I think he has one other play he's got to do. I really think he's got one other play he's got to do.
What, a major newspaper?
And he's got to finalize CNN $6 billion.
Okay.
Go buy CNN $6 billion. You scared the shit out of everybody there.
Wow.
If he buys, so
Would love
now
that.
what happens is now he owns one of the virtual governments, which is Twitter. And if he goes buys one of the mainstream, the ultimate mainstream fake news, you know, he buys CNN. Do you realize this is the one way to actually get these people to go to Canada? This would be the
100%.
ultimate way to get people to say, you know what, I'm finally doing it. I'm leaving.
That's it. Send them to Canada.
But Canada-
That
Go
would
to
be
Justin
But
Trudeau,
Canada
who's
doesn't
going
want-
on trans shows.
Yeah. They don't, but by the way, they don't just let you into Canada. It's not as easy as it is coming here. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Tom, you're gonna vote for Trudeau, maybe.
this clown. I used to do stand-up with
Has
him.
he ever actually expressed interest in buying CNN or a mainstream legacy media outlet? Has he ever said anything about that?
I don't know if he said that, but I think if Elon bought CNN, matter of fact, I'm on Twitter while we're talking right now.
Hey, listen, Elon.
bought.
What are you up to tonight? I should go buy CNN,
Who's
buddy.
this guy, Dave?
I'll just tweet out rumor. I heard Elon is buying CNN.
It's like the Larry Ellison tweet. Hey, I'm going to buy Twitter. You know, do you want in? Did you see that tweet?
I didn't see that
And,
one.
and it was a DM back and forth, and Ellison says, sure. And he said, how much would you be in? And Ellison responds, $1 billion. And I found that really, really funny.
really
two guys
lowballing
talking.
him.
But Dave, off of what you said, out of left field, what a random thing, but what a beautiful thing for a person to have, because he could have jumped on any movement, any company. He didn't like this. Something must have really hit him where he's like, I'm going to spend all this money. I'm going to change. I'm going to make a profit at some point, but I want the truth to be able to be said.
Well, to Patrick's point, that's what's so cool about post-COVID is that it woke up so many people to some level of reality, some level of red pilling.
Yeah.
Elon, this is obviously not the direction he was going to go in as he's building rockets, right? And doing everything he's doing with Tesla and literally underground tunnels and all of this stuff. But then something happened along the way where he was like, you know what?
Enough's enough.
Well,
It's that line from Homer Simpson. I'm a guy like me. Like someone has to do it. I'm a guy like me. I guess I
I'm a
better
guy
do
like
it.
me.
You
Great-
know?
well,
And it's
great
like,
quote.
the tipping point, I'm obviously don't know his mindset. The tipping point was when he was like, all right, I got to move Tesla. I got to move to Texas.
Oh, maybe that's
Yeah.
And he moved to Texas.
It's a shame he didn't move here.
I know.
Yeah, the Cybertruck.
You remember what
But-
the tipping point was for Twitter, right?
What
It
was
was
that?
the Babylon Bee ban. Remember, the Babylon Bee got banned. Of all
Seth
places,
Dillon,
the
yeah.
bee got banned. And Elon Musk said, you know what? I think I'm going to go buy Twitter. This is ridiculous. This is
Yeah.
It's
absurd.
actually true.
What was beautiful about that too was it was played out in real life. I mean, he was on the Babylon Bee podcast either that day or the next
like
day.
a-
Like that
right
wasn't
there.
planned. They weren't planning on getting banned. He then saw a problem and then he just shows up at their offices. I've been there. I mean, they've got very rinky dink. This is not a fancy operation, and he just starts talking. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, other people kind of believe the same things I believe and are sick of the lies. And here we are, 8 months later, and the guy owns the freaking
Well,
thing.
don't forget, and by the way, this is ridiculous, whatever this guy is. I'm going to go back and see if he ever
Dave
lied
knows
about
this
his
guy. Dave, you know this guy.
I used to do
Don't
stand up with
forget-
him. Such a hack.
Oh,
Such
God,
a hack.
really?
Yeah, the
Don't forget,
worst.
Elon Musk is from South Africa. So he grew up with apartheid. He understood.
He's an African American.
Exactly. You're right.
Exactly.
But It's a.
Thank you. I came up with that just then. First
Try the
time.
roast
It was
beef. I'll be
amazing.
here. Exactly. But so, like in his core DNA, obviously, he's dreaming space and all that. In his core DNA, he knows what injustice really looks like, what it really looks like.
Yeah.
And obviously, Nelson Mandela, I'm assuming, had a massive influence on him. And I'm just speculating here, but after being raised in South Africa, apartheid, you must have some sort of like, this is what injustice is, this is what freedom is, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, and everything that happened during COVID must have triggered everything he learned when he was a kid, because that's not what he stood for the last
I think that's also
30
why it's
years.
cool that the billionaire class seems to be getting involved in the game. It's like it's very easy. People are always like, when you have FU money, you'll do all these things, and then no one ever does it because then you've got all these companies and all these properties and all these people that you're in charge of, and no one ever does it. But the fact that Thiel went out on the line to support Carrie and Blake, and he got JD in, and we'll see what happens with the other ones. But he's out there doing it now. Elon, I mean, they were the guys that created PayPal together. David Sachs, who was the CFO of PayPal, who's probably worth hundreds of millions, he's advising Elon now over there. So like, there's a group of people that suddenly realized, hey, we have everything, but we still have something to lose. And they're in it. They're in, and they're trying to fix it now. And we need them. That's the bizarre thing. The billionaire class is always painted as evil, but thankfully they're getting involved now.
So do you think, we were having this conversation yesterday about Citizens United and, big money in politics. So are you in favor of politicians being able to, lobbyists and big money getting in? Because for every Peter Thiel, there's a George Soros. For every George Soros, there's a Koch brother. And so it kind of goes down the slippery slope.
Yeah, it is a slippery slope. I'd rather have that level of competition just exist, and you just figure out better ways to get the message across than just limiting what people can actually do. But you could argue it either way, I think.
Yeah.
But by the way, to everybody, there's a competition. Who's the competition to Musk on the left? Is it Bezos? Do you
Yeah.
put Bezos as
Well,
a direct competitor?
Somehow nobody has a problem with Bezos owning the Washington Post and putting out that garbage all day long,
Yep.
right? Nobody has a problem with that. The same people who are freaking out over Elon now.
Yeah, and is WAPO free? No, you're paying
No,
for it
and you're
on a
paying
monthly
for it.
basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and Twitter offers a lot more than a lot of these other guys. By the way, are you following the story of Adidas with Yeezy and who owns the design, who owns all of it? Adidas to sell shoes based on Yeezy designs, follow and break with Kanye. Adidas said it would start selling shoes based on his designs in a bid to rebound after scrapping the lucrative partnership with musician and designer Kanye West, and that spawned one of the company's most successful product lines. Finance chief Harm Olheimer said the sporting goods giant was a sole owner of all the rights to the existing products except for the Yeezy name. So the only thing Kanye owns is the name, and that the company intended to make use of those rights as early as end of next year. He said, we own all the IP, we own all the designs, we own all the versions, the new colorways. So it's our IP, it's our product. We believe there are interesting things coming to fruition in 2023. That's where we're working through. So what do they do? Here's an idea. Do you think Adidas takes the design and goes and calls, I don't know, you only have like 10 people to do Travis Scott. Do they call a
Jay-Z?
Jay-Z? Do they call guys like that and say, hey, we want to call it something else since we own all this design, since our the buyers, customers love it. Let's choose your own name of Yeezy, add to it, or are they just going to name it an Adidas brand and people are going to buy it? And at the same time, what is Kanye going to do leaving? He can only use the name, but the IP and the shoes designs is not going to be with them. What do you think is going to end up happening here?
Well, let's start, Pat. Just ask you a question. I mean, you're a person of influence. You're 50 Cent now.
Okay.
Hey, question for you. How would you like to be the face of the sneaker brand? 50 Cent. So you're going to take all the Yeezy stuff that everybody knows is Kanye, and because he's gone, you're just going to put like my brand on it? I don't know if I'm into that. I just can't see personally, and I'm projecting there like a little like Miss Cleo here, reading minds, but I can't see a real powerful brand person wanting to feel like they were the second choice or the second here. I just don't see that. I see it's probably going to be internal branding, making internal branding and run like that, because I don't know how you convince somebody that's going to have enough magnetism with a buying public to basically be the replacement.
I actually fully agree with you. And by the way, when I think of hip hop, I think of Tom the Biz.
100%.
That's just
all day.
when I think of gangster rap.
But
I actually agree
Your
with
best
you.
friend Harry has a brother.
You're quoting 1980s MC Light over there, whoever that
Young
was.
MC.
Young MC. But this brand is
He's
so
old now.
associated with Yeezy that I don't see another rapper.
No.
50 Cent, Travis Scott, Jay-Z, whatever, Migos, whatever you want to do. They're not just going to be like, yep, fuck Kanye, I got this thing. It's not going to work.
What about Kim
It'll
Kardashian?
flop.
What if they're like, hey, Kim?
I wear Yeezys on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like literally,
Do you
I'm
wear
a-
them? Because I was just going to ask. I was
yeah.
going to ask you to
He
pull
only
them up.
started wearing them
These
since
are
he started making the anti-Semitic comments.
Dave,
That's his new look.
Dave, please say this because I'm with you. Oh, I know what you're going to say.
These are the freaking ugliest,
Ugliest
most
shit.
obtrusive, ridiculous shoes I have ever seen.
Have you worn them?
I haven't worn them. I get it.
It's like
Okay,
stepping on clouds.
maybe fine. But wait, that one there, that third
No,
one
mine-
from the
mine
top.
is the black with the
I
red.
saw a guy wearing that in Target
No,
a
no,
couple
not
weeks
those,
ago.
not those.
No,
Those are
but I
ridiculous.
saw a guy wearing that in Target.
No, I get that, but no. But
How much are those?
Those
How
are
much
like
those?
beach sandals, though, Dave. Those aren't real.
No, it's
Go
like,
back, Tyler. Go back real quick.
it's like Crocs.
Show the
with
real
bullet
Yeezys
holes.
that people
No,
wear.
the
Go ahead,
ones
Ricky.
okay, so go back one more slide. The first one you had originally.
Google.
Yeah, what's like the classic Yeezy?
Yeah.
What-
You see
what's
the black and red?
Yeah,
Right,
that one right there.
bottom,
No,
bottom, on the bottom.
go below.
Tyler, next in the middle, the two white ones, right there. No, to the right.
Right there. How much are those? How much are those?
I paid $400 or $500 for them.
Jeez, but I understand they're comfortable, but I see them on people's feet, and I
Yeah,
just don't get it.
Yeah, they look ridiculous.
No, those don't look too bad.
Yeah, but that's a cool looking shoe.
It is
Like,
a cool looking
it's
shoe.
that. That's.
I
like,
got the bottom one on the green. If you hit that
this
one,
one?
that's what I rock, bro. I don't know what.
Pat, have you ever put those on, Pat?
No, I have not. But here's a question. This is not me. I couldn't wear stuff
Yeah,
like this.
yeah, me neither.
But like what I'm wearing right now on Cloud, I could wear that for the rest of my life. I feel amazing. On Cloud to me is the most comfortable shoes in the world. Tennis shoes I wear. I feel like I have nothing on. Actually, I don't have On Cloud on right now. Shit.
What do you have?
The man cannot lie.
do you got on?
Look at him.
No.
He
I
cannot-
don't have today. I got Kobe's
Oh, you got
on.
Kobe's on, baby. Let's
This is
go.
Eatman's gave me this during
Those are
that time. I got Kobe's on
Those
today.
are sick.
But this, as much as I love these shoes, it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're basketball. They're for basketball.
But I tell you, here's a part though. Adidas underestimated how much they were going to lose. They lost more than they underestimated.
People are not as woke as they thought they were going to be.
And by the way, I don't buy Adidas tennis shoes. I think people who bought Adidas tennis shoes, many of them, it brought an audience that they didn't have before.
100%.
Okay, Nike does have an audience that they have. Don't get me wrong. I think Steph Curry's with Adidas, or some players, some people are with Adidas, but it's not the same. So who's more likely to succeed here? Here's a question for you.
Easy.
Is it more likely for Kanye to take the name elsewhere and be able to create momentum? Maybe it'll take him a year, 2 years, 3 years to do that. Or is Adidas more likely to use that design to get back to the numbers they were doing? Who's more likely?
Easy.
What do you think?
I think easy.
Well, do we know what the numbers are in terms of what they put
Quarter of a
into
billion.
it? In terms of what they put into it and what they got back out of it, not just how much they were paying him.
It's
and
one
all.
of the most successful. We can pull up the numbers if you want to pull it up. It's one of the most successful selling.
That seems crazy to me. Where are these people wearing these shoes?
Here's what I'll say about Kanye.
Everybody wears them, Dave.
Yeah.
Everybody
No,
wears
people wear
them.
people. Listen,
I guess in Cali.
you know, don't forget exactly. Don't forget where you came from. People. Why do people listen to Kanye? Why?
I don't. But just.
But why do you listen to Kanye?
I don't-
Because of his music.
No.
Nobody cares what his
you're wrong.
ideology is.
You're
Nobody
wrong.
cares
You know that I actually do not listen to Kanye at all. I do not like his music. I like that he
You're
has
one
balls
of
to
the
go up
few
against
Americans
system.
that you listen to Mexican trap music. So
I understand that, but
so
what I'm
it's not
trying
like
to-
you listen to hip hop.
But what I'm trying to get to tell you is I started following Kanye, bought my Yeezys after I saw what he stood up for. And by the way, I'm not the only one. My wife is not a tennis shoe. Pat knows she's not a tennis shoe type of girl. She's a high heel, and I bought her Yeezys. And she loves them. She wears them all the time because of what he stands for.
Wait,
some of us will buy these
Ricky,
because
you're the exception.
No,
not
I'm not.
the rule.
I don't understand why you think there's so little of us in this world.
I'm just saying that Kanye. How about this? Let's just keep it simple. Who's Kanye's base? Who is it?
What do you mean his base?
Like if there's like Trump has a base. It's MAGA. Clearly, it's
it's his
right?
rap fans.
Okay, exactly. So you're not. You're an exception. You're not the rule. That's his base.
I 100% agree.
So
with
his base is hip hop, rap, that community.
Right.
Okay? That's why they're listening to Kanye. They don't want to hear his gospel music. They're not trying to hear his ideology. They want to hear his music. And there's a whole famous saying like, we want the old Kanye. We want the old Kanye. Because they want the old fucking Kanye who made hits and not just does racist, anti-Semitic remarks. That's not why people are tuning into Kanye. You might be more in tune with that, but that's not his base.
Are you saying he's making racist, anti-Semitic remarks, or are you saying that people are saying that?
No, I am saying he's making
Which
anti-Semitic remarks.
Which one?
I mean, roll the tape, Hoss. What do you mean? There's 10,000 of them.
Name one.
The Jews did this. The Jews did this. The Jews did this. Anytime
That
you use
controlling
groups,
Hollywood? The ones
Yes.
they're controlling, is that a lie?
certain Jews.
Is that a lie?
Are they the only people that control
I'm not
Hollywood?
saying that. My question is it a lie? Is it a lie?
How about this? All Mexicans do this. All Mexicans
He's
are
not
rapists.
saying all Mexicans. He
But
says
no,
Mexicans.
but he's saying all Jews do this.
Who runs the most drugs in the world? Mexicans do. Is that a bad statement? Is that a
anytime
wrong
you
statement?
say all Jews,
He didn't say all
So
Jews.
the-
He's never said
did
all.
you
I
see
listened to him.
No, he did.
Yeah, he
the
did,
tweet,
bro.
he said, I'm going DEFCON 3 on the Jews.
On the, not all. It's a very different thing, bro.
Ricky, you're gonna lose.
If you're
this
gonna see it
battle
from
here, buddy.
the thing is, again, it's like
if you
it's
want to
like,
call out individual, did you see the conversation he had with Lex Friedman?
yes, of course,
You did.
Yes.
So did it resonate at all with you?
bro. Like I said,
Do you,
I just
do you think it's
I'm
more
not- I'm not-
appropriate to call out individuals who did you wrong, or groups of people?
No, 100%,
Individuals or
100%
groups?
individuals. 100%.
Okay, so then you're proving my point. Whether it's Mexicans or Jews or Muslims or Asians, like anytime you go after groups of
Okay,
people,
I'll give you an example.
That's a problem.
In when we buy our jewelry, Hispanics, we say we buy it from the Armenians, or we buy it from the Armenians, or what's the other
Orthodox Jews, probably.
or the Jews.
Yeah.
And we're not saying, oh, I bought it from John Joseph the jeweler. We're saying we bought it from the Jews. We bought it from the Armenians. It's just a way of saying
No,
something.
you bought it from that Jewish guy who
No,
sells
that's
jewelry.
not how we say it. Who do
not
you buy?
all Jews
so
sell
we say,
jewelry.
when we have this conversation,
Just like
they say,
not all Jews
I
run
understand
Hollywood.
that, but we say when you have the who are you okay in LA, like you say, like you ask the African American gangs, who you buy your drugs from? The Mexicans. Why do they say the gangbanger Mexicans? That's not what they're saying. It's just a way of saying something. And you're not. That doesn't mean it's the whole group. That's just so again. I buy it from the Armenians downtown LA. That's just a way of saying something. It's just language, bro.
Fair
it's not
enough.
that big of a deal.
But there is a difference between Hector, who's buying drugs off the Mexicans, and that one guy, versus Kanye, who has a massive voice and what he's saying and what he's spewing. So, by the way,
I get what you're saying.
By the
I'm
way,
not denying.
Kanye, talk your shit. I do not agree that he should be silenced.
I'm not-
But if brands want to drop him, Balenciaga, Adidas, whoever, that's their choice.
I'm not denying what you're saying, bro. What I'm just telling you is don't look. You're looking too much into that because that's just what we say. That's just how you speak. That's just language. You're not gonna sit there and let me make a list of all the fucking people I'm talking about. That's not how this works, bro. Who you fuck? I fuck with the Mexicans. I fuck with the blacks. That's just the way of you talk. That's the way we talk. That's just the way. That's lingo. That's American lingo. You don't gotta get all crazy about that shit. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
So my question still hasn't been answered. So who do you think's gonna be? Who do you think's gonna have more likelihood of?
I think Kanye, Pat. I think Kanye because like this is how America works. He for that 1 week, everybody was like Kanye. Oh my God, he's in. Give him 6 months, he'll be right back. But Americans forget and forgive. Some other shit will come up. They'll forget about it. He'll get what. I mean, he walks.
He's still on Twitter and Instagram.
He's
right?
still
It's
up
not
there.
like he's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
Which
mean-
he should be. I do not think he should be silenced.
Yeah.
And I'm Jewish. And he's
Can I tell
saying
you-
DEFCON Jr.
Can I tell you a great story about Kanye? So I've only met him once, and it was an accidental meeting. So when I lived in LA, I was in Encino, and I was going to Equinox one morning, and he used to go there. I'd see him from a distance every now and again. But there were a lot of guys. There were a lot of ex-athletes. I used to see Kenny Smith there all the time, and Kevin Hart. So like comedians, athletes, whatever. And one morning, I cannot function without coffee, which is why I walked in here with the coffee, because I got here late and I don't have coffee in the morning. I cannot think straight. I would look at you and not know your name. Like that's the level that it's just not right without coffee. Anyway, somehow I ended up at the gym. I was with a friend and I didn't have coffee, and I'm walking in, and you know when you have headphones in, when you have earbuds in, you're talking louder than you think that you're talking. Yeah. So I see Kevin Hart standing there, and I see Kanye. They're a few feet away from each other, and they've got like all their guys. And I'm not a Kanye. I'm not a rap guy. Like he didn't. Now everyone knows who he is or whatever. But I loudly turned to my friend, not realizing how loudly I was saying it. And I'm looking at Kanye. I'm like probably 5 feet away from Kanye, and I turn to my friend and I'm like, "Isn't that what's his name?" And I pointed at Kanye. I swear to God.
Hilarious.
And he looked at me. He does that thing with his mouth. He looked at me like he was about to freaking kill me. And I just kept moving, and I walked I walked right upstairs. That was it. But he gave me the stare of death.
But
because I honestly couldn't remember who it was. Like it could have been P Diddy. It could have been Kanye. It could have been like.
It's a David was just another black guy.
I know. I knew he was someone.
Yeah.
But in that moment, not coffee. I couldn't remember. Like
you're blaming it on the not coffee day.
Well, I knew he was somebody.
You must have a very unique perspective on what's going on with Kanye right now, because obviously you're a pro, free speech guy. You're more of a conservative.
I would agree with what
you're
you
also
said.
Jewish.
I would agree with what you said. He can say whatever he wants. I don't want anyone jailed because of speech or anything like that. But every company has their right to break ties with him if that's what they see as best.
100% America.
They also may realize in the long term it isn't. The best example of this to me would be what happened with Roseanne Barr when she said that what was her name? She said she looked like a monkey, and that's what got her fired.
Yeah.
Now Roseanne Barr, we were friendly for a while. The idea that she's racist is insane. Like that this woman has any hatred in her heart or whatever. Okay. But putting that aside, even she had the #1 show on television. Remember, they had
remixed
Roseanne, the Connors. It was the #1 show on television. It was an offhand remark that she meant nothing by, and they took her out. Even though I was friendly with her, I tweeted out, I said, look, she's entitled to say what she wants, and ABC is entitled to continue that relationship or not. I think it was a bad move by ABC. It doesn't help with any healing. It makes people hate more and all that stuff. But that's exactly the situation we're in right now. It just is. And it's better than the alternative. What's the alternative? That people can just say stuff and everyone's locked into maintaining relationships with everybody? You want choice.
Hang on. Where does that line get drawn? Because, all right, so you have Kanye, right? Balenciaga cuts ties. Adidas cuts ties. CAA cuts ties. Everybody cuts ties. Fine, those are his sponsors, right? But now Chase has booted him out.
Yeah,
they said
the
take
bank.
all your money. Or look at Andrew
Goldman.
Tate. Right. And Andrew Tate lost Stripe, Uber, Discord, PayPal. Every way to get money or to make money is gone.
The banking layer, I think, is a different situation, and there should be some kind of common carrier stuff there. And this is where my libertarian part of me kind of gets to the end of the road. Because, look, Alex Jones, you may not like Alex Jones, but I think we would all agree he's entitled to have a telephone, right? Yeah. That he should be able to make a call and the government shouldn't listen, and he can be a bad dude on a telephone. So no one's for AT&T stopping Alex Jones from being on there. And I would say banks have to be somewhat similar to that. This is probably where crypto ultimately is the answer, despite a couple bad days over here.
And I guess Kyrie Irving posted something that had some type of connotation with anti-Semitic stuff. But they had he had to go to like 5 different rehabilitation meetings.
No, so that kind of mafia stuff, like you got to apologize to the ADL and all that. None of that does anything. It doesn't make anyone less anti-Semitic. It doesn't lower the temperature. It makes everything look ridiculous. Oh, I gave $500,000.
Yeah, exactly.
To the none of that stuff works. I think the way things work is you talk to people.
Exactly.
You explain why these ideas are noxious and historically bad and all those things. But the bank layer, I think, is the key one here, right? Like that's honestly, if any of us were all going into business together, that's the thing that you do, and that's a massive
risk.
Like,
by the way, I don't know. You mentioned Andrew Tate. Jake Paul just posted this today. If you want to play this should be interesting. So apparently, him and Jake Paul faced off.
I mean, that looks serious.
Who's that guy in the middle? He's going to do nothing to break this up.
That looks like
Anyways.
me. That looks like me in
Vinny's
glasses.
in the middle.
If there is a fight that people would watch, they would watch this. You know what fight is going on this weekend? It's going to be Dustin
Mike
Poirier
Chandler.
against Michael Chandler. This is the fight.
Oh my God.
But by the way, I thought it would be more Logan Paul than Jake Paul.
Yeah,
I think that's
because
the
they
fight
actually
people
get
want to
along.
see. They actually
Yes.
have beef. This feels staged to me.
But
I think
Jake
Jake
staged.
Paul. I think Logan Paul and Tate genuinely have beef. This feels like a little concocted. Would you
But
agree?
where is it though? Where would this be? Is this
Somewhere in
in
Europe.
Miami? Is this
No,
in
no.
Europe?
I don't
Is
think
this?
he's in the States whatsoever, Tate.
It'd probably be in Dubai.
I got to be honest, I'm not an MMA guy. I know everybody that has a podcast, legally, you have to be an MMA guy. You have to talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you give me, like, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Andre the Giant, I'm very happy.
You're in.
Snake.
You're in.
You know, but Jake Paul,
You can tell you grew up with 80s wrestling.
Yeah,
By the way, who wins that fight? Tate versus Jake Paul.
Not Tate.
Not
Not
Have you
Tate?
seen Tate box?
He's not good. Dude, he's a
It's-
kickboxer.
Yeah, he's
well,
slow,
And
his
here's
feet don't move.
And here's my thing with all these Pauls. And listen,
not-
No,
he
how
doesn't
you gonna root
flow.
against the top G, bro? How
I-
you gonna do that?
I respect
Well,
the
what's the
hustle.
age difference here? It's
Yeah.
like everybody was so excited when Anderson Silva got beat. I said Anderson Silva's 48
He's
years
almost-
old.
Hey,
He's
Tom
50s.
Brady
How
beat
old is
Patrick
Andrew
Mahomes
Tate?
in the Super Bowl,
Yeah, but
buddy.
this is a fight.
That's
Don't-
not. That's
to
a
be-
football game, not
Well,
a
I'm just
boxing
saying,
match.
it's not like Tate's some old, washed-up guy. I think he's
What is he?
36 years old.
36, 38.
Listen,
Right.
I respect the hustle, but the craft of box, bro. These to me are jokes. Like you just said, he beat up. And Silva's 50 years old, bro. You're in your 20s. Like
Yeah.
you're
And
a
he's an
young guy
MMA
beat-
fighter,
and
not
bro,
a
How about this?
boxer.
You know what I would pay, and I would not illegally stream. Yeah, I'm saying it. If he fights, if one of these guys fights a real MMA guy. Fight a real, fight a Mike Chandler.
No, fight a
Like
real
that guy.
Do
boxer.
MMA.
Or fight a boxer.
Fight a
Fight
real
anybody
boxer.
that's a legitimate boxer.
By the way, at this point in their careers, Tate and Paul, who is more hated across
Paul.
the world?
Paul.
You think Paul?
I think Paul.
Paul.
Yeah.
You think
Yep.
Paul is more hated?
Yep.
I'm on
People,
Team Tate,
bro,
y'all.
people love Tate.
I'm on Team Tate.
People love Tate.
I like
Yeah.
he's a G.
I love Tate.
He's a
Hey, by the
J.
way, shout out to Cain Velasquez. He just got bailed out yesterday.
Did he
$1 million
really?
Yes, $1 million bond.
Because
They were not wanting to let him bail. They were not wanting to let him bail out, and he bailed out $1 million bond after 8 months.
So he went after the guy that either molested or did something to
his niece
to
or
his
nephew.
or somebody, and then he
yeah.
accidentally shot the driver of the car that had the
Yeah,
guy. Did the
yeah.
guy die?
No, he didn't
Oh,
die.
then dude, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
he got
but
out. He got out last night. So shout out to Cain Velasquez.
Good for
Shout out
him.
for
By the way, shout out to Vinny. This is the first time I've heard him acknowledge he was willing to pay for a fight. He steals everything.
Adam.
So
He's from New York.
respect,
He's,
man.
he's a New
I'm
Yorker.
from New York. What am I doing over here?
Tate is in Dubai. That was not in Miami. Just
That
kidding.
was in
Tate's
Dubai.
not in Dubai.
That's
Tate-
where
that's
the
in
fight would be.
Dubai.
Ty.
Hey, before we wrap up here, sign off. Just remember about the VPN we discussed earlier here. That we discussed. So if you are wanting to take advantage of it, have a 107% increase from last year. So start protecting yourself right now. PIA is having a massive Black Friday sale for our customers exclusively, 83% off with 4 months for free. It's only $2.03 a month. Go to www.piavpn.com/PBD, piavpn.com/PBD to take advantage of this discount. Dave, thanks for coming up, man. This was
I
fantastic
survived
as
the
usual.
hurricane.
It was
You know
great.
what I mean?
Yes,
Crazy
tragic.
hurricane.
Tragic.
What do you have on your agenda right now? Like, what's going on?
Well, my show's normally at 11 a.m., so we're going at 2 p.m. today. And then I got some pre-tape stuff, and I don't know, maybe I'll shoot some hoops tonight. I'm playing again. It's very exciting after I
Are you being
When are we
really
gonna ball, buddy? When are we balling?
All right, we're going to ball. We're going to
No,
ball.
I mean, are you going like hardcore? Like
Yeah,
you're-
I wear 3 freaking braces.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
the knee.
smart. Be
That was
smart.
my one question.
And
with
I'm
the
playing.
knee.
I'm playing with a bunch of guys. I know you got to wrap. I'm playing with a bunch of guys that it's all middle aged. So every week someone's dead by the end. You literally just send no one to the morgue. It's sad. Dude.
This weekend.
Yeah.
Well, no autopsy, no foul.
Yeah.
Classic. Anyways, hey, have a great weekend,
Oh,
guys.
before you wrap up, I'm sorry.
What's that?
This weekend, tomorrow, is Veterans Day.
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing a special show today, saluting the veterans, and tomorrow on Soscast.
Who you got on?
Later today, a couple veterans.
Okay.
One sex expert who used to be a veteran, so we'll keep it sexy with the veterans. But, thank you for your service.
My man. Yes.
This is you. This
Yes.
is you. You guys
And
are
Vinny
veterans.
too. Air
You know
Force.
something? Hey, you forgot about me over
I
here.
just give you a shout out that you're not stealing me
And
on
don't
cable.
listen. Ricky was a veterano, so
Yeah.
Ricky's also a different,
In a
different kind of veteran.
Shout out to the veterans out there. We appreciate you.
Different kind of.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you, guys.